of Fame, man, with the veterans. I ain't playing weak.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Do not adjust your sets. That's right, it is season number 17 of the V8 Veterans, and you are here for an absolute reason. That reason is it's time for all the cast of thousands to return to your Thursday night viewing action. And tonight it is from the most famous track in the history of the world of all time ever. There will be no debate about that. There will be no questions. Simon Mazzomo, questions?
There will be none.
The grandest of the introductions for season number 17. Mez, we're back. We're back in action. We saw not a great battle for the season championship last season, but what we did see was squabbling for all of the minor places. And tonight that continues, albeit without our champion from season number 16. Scott Gamble will not be making his return for season number 17. That means the number one driver's role is up for grabs, and 3 times in a row, that will be the marker that somebody this season will try to set out their first season on that path. Ladies and gentlemen, on board are your cast for this season's season 1 of the V8 Veterans. From your top 20 in points was Brenton O'Brien, Nietzsche, Chad Lewis, Chris Miller, Craig Friend, Damien Cairns, Daniel Hall, Dean Flavel, Greg Sharp, Jason Fewens, Jeff Thomas, John Latham, Matt Vanderkram, Michael Stewart, Robert Crisdale, Scott McHugh. Yes, he's back. Stephen Banks, Tim Nicol, and Travis Hunt qualifying into this split. And returning from last season, the drivers in the middle column, but let's focus on the ones across on the right hand side. Rick Sebra, Damian Cross, Darren Goosey, Troy Stonestreet. Stonestreet was the winner of Split 3 last season, and I believe Sebra it was that was actually the winner of Split 2 from season number 16, and making their V8 Veterans debut straight into the top flight. It is Blake Delaney and Chris Barrage. Simon, list of big names there. We've got all the returning stars, but how about that? Blake Delaney has hit the magic number he needs to become a veteran and has jumped straight into the series.
Yep, very soon to see how Blake goes. Very capable driver, but interesting to see how the rest of this field goes too. As you mentioned, Scott Gamble not going to be competing this year, and it's going to throw a bit of a cat in the mix, because we saw obviously the few rounds I did last season, the positions were sort of mixed every round. You had people that came out and were stellar at one round, and then probably not so good the next. So it's going to introduce something different. It's going to be about that consistency, and it's going to create a very interesting battle up the front. I'm very looking forward to it, to see who actually can come out on top this season.
Well, in the meantime, qualifying is actually going on in the background, so we'll have results for you at the conclusion of that in a bit over a minute's time. But right now, let's talk about the changes. We talked about the drivers that have changed. We talked about a little bit of the teams that have changed. We talked about the big name that's not there. Let's now talk about the strategy that's about to change. Ladies and gentlemen, new rule set for this season. There have been points changes. That's the minor change. That's really the insignificant one that we probably won't spend too much time all season talking about. look, there will be some bonus points on offer leading any lap. That'll net you 1 extra point. Leading the most laps, that's a bonus point. And you must complete 75% of the race distance. Previously, it was you had to finish the race. You had to be around and circulating to collect the checkered flag, else you were not classified. So if you've done, say, 99% of the race and didn't finish that last lap, no points on offer for you. That has been removed for this season. Makes it easier for the administration side of things as well. But it's the strategy stuff, Mez. You must take 2 compulsory pit stops. No ifs, no buts, no coconuts. And, well, they cannot be taken on the first lap. They must be taken at the conclusion, the earliest, at the end of the second lap. But safety cars, and we've seen this one be rather important to strategy markers in other series as well. If a safety car comes out on that first or second lap, you must wait until after the restart to get your compulsory stop in.
Yep. No, I'm actually a really big fan of those 2 rules. Introducing two compulsory stops changes the thing a bit. Whereas, like, traditionally we saw last season, it was basically, you know, you either go pit early or pit late and then get home from there. Now you got to take 2, so that introduces a little bit more strategy into how you do it. You know, if you're caught up in a bit of traffic, you could pit early and then try and capitalize later on, capitalize that before your next stop. Well, you may have to pay it back at the next stop. The other big thing I like is the idea that if you have that first lap safety car, you can't take a pit stop until you go back to green. Because obviously we do see that in a lot of series, a lot of other categories do that. It's a bit harder to sort of control, but they've decided to do it with this series, and I think it's a really, really good thing. We already sort of saw it, I believe it was Pro that we saw that happen. And yeah, caught a few people out, but it's a good incentive. It means that, you know, not everyone dives into the pits and gets that first stop out of the way. You've still got to try and strategize the rest of the way. You don't get a free stop out of it, basically.
And I'm just doing some head math. I was just thinking about how would I approach the strategy? How would we be taking a swing at this ball game? What's that's going to mean for the drivers and for the fans watching along at home is the pit stops. Effectively, you know what they're doing in V8 supercars at the moment for the sprint races. They're saying, hey, you've got to drop 120 litres worth of fuel. Any point during the race, doesn't matter. Take it at some point. We just want to see that 120 litres has been added to that tank. It's going to be effectively the same thing as what we see play out on your screens. That number will change week to week. But 2 compulsory pit stops, if for example, you only have to add 30 litres to the car, but you still have to do 2 compulsory pit stops, well, the first time down, you might just stop for 5 seconds. It may not take tyres. Get in, get a splash, get the car up on the jacks, get it down, get back out there, grab yourself some track positions. The second stop, you may come back around and do tyres. So that will be what the drivers are looking for up and down the field in terms of how they're going to be adjusting things. You come in for a long stop halfway through the race, that means your back end stop going to be very, very short. You stop for, let's say, 40 seconds out of a 60-second time frame. That means you've only got 20 seconds to take later on in the race. That will be the difference. Do you want to stop early, Mez? Take a quick stop and then stop later on and take a longer stop. You bought yourself some track position, but you've got some penalty to pay later on in the session. That will be a big... I can just see us prattling on about that for about, let's say about 50% of the races this season.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a big factor, and yeah, it's all going to come down to where you are. If you're at the front of the field, it's almost better off. If you've got clear air, just stay out, run for as long as you can, take that longer at the first stop, and then you can take a shorter second stop. So that's the way it'll sort of play itself out. If you're down the back or mid pack, or if you're in a bit of a battle, or even if you're up front, you're in a bit of a battle pack that you just don't quite have the pace to get through, you can take that option, as you were saying, come in, take a shorter stop, get yourself some clean air, and go from there. Now, traffic's also going to play a factor in there too. So if you pit too early, you might come into some traffic. So can you sort of manage that if you do that early pit stop, can you then be able to pit later on, avoid that traffic, still get your stop done and get to the end? So there's all these sorts of things that can happen throughout, and it's got to be reliant on who can think quick in their feet, who's thinking in that situation. Yeah, it's just, it's one of those things that they're going to have to adapt to. I think these guys will. A lot of these guys are quite smart. They know what they're doing. It's going to be interesting to see how they try and outsmart each other in that, especially in that first pit stop.
Well, the best part about it is that with this change to the strategy, there is no one size fits all anymore. You're going to have to go pit stop shopping. Do you want a nice pair of flip-flops, maybe going for the beach? Does that mean you'll take a bare bones stop at the first time by? Later on, you might do some fuel saving. You might enjoy that long day out in the middle of the race, and then later on in the race, you'll come down and you'll sit down for that nice big family meal style pit stop. Perhaps you do that earlier in the race. Maybe you go on and you go out for a light snack of a pit stop later in the race. How much V8's veteran Vindaloo will you be consuming throughout the evening, and when you consume that Vindaloo will be the critical marker? Well, qualifying for race number 1 of season 17 is going to be coming to you in just a few moments, because right now, Mez, we're going to take a look at the schedule. We're here at Bathurst tonight, but next week it's Sandown, 250 kilometers to start things off here tonight, 200 kilometers for the next 3 races. The short ones will be in the middle of the season, Long Beach and Laguna Seca. Another slightly longer one from Homestead, Miami. That will be an oval cross track, a road course built into one of the oval circuits, and then the 300 kilometer race to finish us out at Road America. Interesting circuit, interesting calendar, an interesting take on things, and that takes us right through the 23rd of November as well.
Yeah, big long calendar. Jerez, I'm looking forward to. That's a track that's just amazing to drive no matter what car it is. Legacy GP circuit, I do like how we're going there. Monza always creates really good pack racing in these cars. Long Beach, well, we love seeing these cars at street circuits, so Long Beach is going to be an interesting one to watch.
And gridding has now just started in the background, which means it is time to set our field for the first round of V8 Veterans season number 17. And your first pole position of the season, he had a horrid season last time out. Michael Taliancic will be off of the front row, off alongside of Ken Latta. On the Altus Australia entry and the Synergy Sim Racing entry, Chris Smart and Darren Lobb will make up row number 2. They're only 3 4/10 of a second off of the pace. Before it's going to be Dave Kirby. He was quite there and consistent in the season. Starts off a 5th. That's a great grid position for him at this stage. Stuart Hall will be off alongside of him. We'll move 1 row further back. Matt van der Kraan and Damien Cairns. Cairns had flashes of brilliance. Will he be able to show that yet again? Chad Lewis and Crisdale are going to give it to us from row number 5 of the grid before we move back to Tim Nicol and Craig Friend. Friend had a couple of flashes towards the end of the season of out-and-out pace, including winning the race from Winton. And position 13 and 14, Jeff Thomas will be a little bit deeper in the pack than perhaps he liked. He'll be off alongside of Greg Sharp for Coda Simsport. 1 row further back for these guys will be Funky Miller and Stephen Kennedy in 15th and 16th. Jamie, the People's Champion by his own submission of nicknames into the file this week, will be off alongside of Chris Barouge and Michael Stewart and Simon Hederscheid. Sorry, it will be Chris Baraga and Michael Stewart will be 19th and 20th best.
Yep, coming at 21st will be Simon Hederscheid. Michael Quain will be alongside. Travis Hunt will come out of 23, and Scott's favourite person, Scott McCune, out of 24th. Peter van der Kraan, my favourite person, will be out of 25th. Robbie Griffiths out of 26. Chad Vigor will be coming out of 27. Bruce Tannock, 28. Troy Stonestreet, 29th. Stephen Banks coming out of P30. P31 will have Brenton O'Brien. Damien Cross alongside in 32nd. Chris Blanchard in P33. 34th will be Steve Gumley.
And 35th will be Paul Byrne and Darren Crosby in 36 before we'll move back to Darren Goosey and Todd Duggan. Goosey making his debut in the top split of V8 Veterans. Has been around for a little while. Jason Grumpy Fewens deep in the pack for the Banter Alliance Racing, who'll be looking to get forward out of that grid spot, off alongside of Dino Flavel. Scotty Van Loon and Jim Capronis are going to be coming outside of 40th place, 44th, 41st and 42nd before we'll jump back to Reg James and Scotty Van Loon. And I think it was Capronis. Sorry, my apologies. Capronis will actually be the last driver on our grid. So a couple drivers there who have actually joined the wrong servers. 1 car opting to start from pit lane. I think that's Dean Flavel that's in there. In the meantime, it will be Taliancic that grabs the gears and goes to defend the inside. Moves back to the racing line. He's got Hell Corner covered off for the first time from season number 17 for the Logitech G. Proudly brought to you, by Logitech, Parramatta Isuzu U, Player One Sim here at Nova Sim Sports. This is the V8 Veterans and the run-up Mountain Straight for the first time this season. Where will the strategy land? Who will be on top when the dust all settles at the tail end of this series? But in the meantime, there is a massive accident before we've even got all the way to Griffin's Bend on lap number 1. There are cars stopped at the rear end of the field. Multiple drivers avoiding accidents, as well as Griffin's Bend. I just saw cars 4 wide in Griffin's Bend whilst they were trying to dodge the accidents. They've looked like they've got out there. Paul Byrne on his lead and going backwards, and Brenton O'Brien is going to be going to the rear of the field with a lot of damage. The 077 of Stephen Banks. And safety car has been immediately deployed, which means we get to bring those new regulations into play straight away.
Yeah, very smart call to put the safety car out for that one. There's a lot of damaged cars through this field at the moment. Just unsure, maybe first race jitters at being at Bathurst, but yeah, it just seemed like it just all kicked off down Mountain Straight, and then even when they got into turn 2, it just started to kick off again, and just a lot of cars, over 45 cars on this track at the moment. There was not a lot of space for people to go. It just sort of just created a massive accident that just happened all the way up. So good call, get the safety car out, settle the field down. Obviously, this is obviously going to be a strategy moment now. Everyone can't get in to do their pit stops, but I believe we do have fast repairs available for all these guys, so it's going to be awesome that they're going to be able to get back in, repair the cars. The day's not done for them. If they can get it back to the pits, they'll be able to get back out there and have another crack at it.
So there are 2 drivers that are stuck on, so 1 driver stuck on Mountain Straight, which will be Paul Byrne. Steve Brumley is sitting on the left-hand side as you get to Griffin's Bend. That's him on screen there now. And everyone else has managed to get running again. Actually, there might be a couple drivers that got automatically towed. They might have got put over the barriers, so...
Yeah,
oh my word.
There's not a lot left of that car at this point, is there? It's had a wild ride in that first incident.
So, critical factor here, Mez. Who was paying attention? Who's going back to school and who's read the rule book? Because if anyone out of this group thinks that they're going to get themselves a compulsory pit stop out of the way, cross big old X through that one. Peter Vanderkran's going to dive out of the queue. I think this is just going to be to get that fuel tank topped up and not be using this one as a compulsory pit stop. The benefit is, even though this won't be counted as a compulsory pit stop, it is going to shorten the fill later on. So this is still a strategy call. There'll be about 33 litres worth of space in that tank, and they're going to have to eliminate that somehow. They're compulsory pit stops. That means they've got 30 litres out of the way.
Yep, and that's it. And that's the thing, and any little bit helps. And obviously saying not having that cap so you can fill the tank right up, again, helps them later on in the race. Yes, they've still got to do that secondary stop, but if you imagine when we go back to green, the field's going to be compressed. They're going to have to probably fight their way back through the field. If you're someone that was down the back of the field, this is like a perfect opportunity for you. Get in, throw that extra fuel in. It gives effectively shortens all your pit stops that you're going to need to do for the following 2 compulsory stops. So it's a bit of a no-brainer in those sort of circumstances. So interested to see how they go. They're obviously going to have to pick their way through the field again, especially if you're someone that pitted from like the mid-pack. Well, you're going to start fighting your way through the field. But just the way the race can ebb and flow, you can use that to your advantage. You don't have to put as much fuel in the next 2 stops, so where you'll be able to get it back later on. We'll have a quick look at the replay, and that is big. I was actually went back and oh wow, that's going off big time. Just going back on the replay.
It's actually 2.
Yeah, because this is the first one where it all happened. It looks like it was just a bit of tyre-on-tyre contact, nothing sinister by either involved. And oh, that's a big hit. This car's going everywhere. That is massive. What a way to start the season.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is season 17 of the V8 Veterans. Fun and games were supposed to be left at the door on your way in. If you were looking for the fun and games and the shenanigans, that was last week. This is back to serious racing. I think a few drivers have left their heads a little bit unscrewed. I was just thinking, actually, Mez, in terms of the compulsory stops, the requirements are that your car must go up on the jacks. Now, I don't race enough V8 supercars, to be perfectly honest with you, but correct me if I'm wrong, adding fuel in these cars, it will go up on the jacks. You don't have to do a tyre.
Correct, yes. As long as you do fuel, it will go up on the jacks. So tyres are completely optional, and I believe unless you're putting in about 15 to 18 litres, you need minimum 15 to 18 litres to cover a tyre stop. So yeah, effectively, you basically could put in 5 litres, if anything. It obviously depends on where they are where they're at that point. But yeah, they can put in 5 litres. The car will go up on its jacks, and that'll clear them of their CPS. So yeah, it's not even a case of having to do tyres every time you pit. It still gives them that leeway in what they're doing with their strategy.
Okay, so I'm going to pitch a strategy here for you. For the guys that are at the tail end of the pack here, they've come in, they've taken the bulk of their drop. This goes green, circulate once, come down, take a splash, get straight back out there. You will undercut about half the field. And get free air at the same time. Because yes, you can't take a compulsory pit stop under the safety car. But if you filled up, so let's say here, right, we've just added 35 litres, well, you've completed that out of the way. Let's say you've burned another 4 or 5 litres whilst we're pacing around here. You come down. Ooh, hello, Ken Ladder.
The games are being played. The games are being played.
These guys are watching NASCAR. That's a fake.
That's a big fake. I believe it's like 34 laps to a tank.
No,
so
you're wrong. No. It's about 24. 24,
it's
25. You can get like 26, 27 if you're excessively saving, and I mean excessively.
Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking GD3s, it's 34. Yeah. Well, if it's 24, hey, that's a cracker of a lap time, Greg. Good job. Yeah, if it's 24 laps, yeah, you could effectively, you effectively give yourself clean air. It's definitely a viable strategy. You will have to take a lot of fuel in your next stop, but you could effectively split the race in half. Fill the tank up, and then go till the end. You will have to change tyres. And you're probably not going to put enough fuel in to need to change tyres at this point because we're behind safety car. So yeah, go in, top the tank up, run as hard as you can, run the tank out, new tyres, fill the tank up, boom, get to the end. So yes, definitely a viable strategy, but it does put you back down the field a fair way, and if you do get another safety car, that completely kills the entire thing. So that's where you've got to sort of judge it.
No, because actually it doesn't. Because put it this way, if we get another safety car, you've got your one. If you pit at the end of this lap, you take a splash. You've only got one compulsory pit stop to do.
Correct, but if you get multiple safety cars, it would kill it. That's the thing. No. Because everyone's going to pit where you do. That's the thing. Is like when these situations pop up, you get a safety car. Your first option is you're going to take a stop no matter what. If a safety car comes out, you're going to take a stop. So if it runs to the end, then yes, 100% it's a strategy that can benefit you big time. But if you get a safety car, everyone's going to pit, everyone gets a free stop out of it. Yeah, you can go to the end, but you're going to then have to battle with older tyres, so you're going to have to pit with them as well. Yeah, it's not clear cut. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You effectively get a free stop over it, but there's more at play with that to happen.
So what I'm saying is, if I'm targeting, let's clear the compulsory pit stops as early as possible, right? So within sight of getting home. So if we complete tonight, for example, we can get the compulsory pit stop out of the way. Effectively, these rules have added a pit stop to this race that wouldn't normally happen, and that's what we're trying to clear out. That's what my targets are. So by getting this compulsory pit stop out of the right way, I've got to add, let's say 40, 45 less litres than everyone. If we get a safety car here in about 10 laps time, you'll jump 20, 25, 30 odd spots in the blink of an eye. And you'll have a free track position.
Yeah. It also depends, it could still work as well. If you're circling on your own and you are pacing faster than the guys in front of you, then you could pick a few spots out of it. So yeah, definitely a viable strategy, but just seeing it how it plays out, and safety cars can just play havoc with those sort of strategies. As long as you do pit early, that's why you tend to sort of see people want to leave their pit strategies for later, because the safety car sort of has a less of an effect, so to speak. So interesting. We're about to go green. The safety car's running back to pit lane at the moment, so we're going to get this race back underway. But interesting. Do want to see if anyone's actually been listening to the broadcast and has we'll take to the lane as soon as we go back to green. I mean, also the next lane.
If you haven't got track position, you have a crack.
Yeah.
That's the end result. Particularly get yourself out of the queue. That's the big thing. Give yourself freedom to avoid the accidents and the battling. How much time did you lose fighting cars last night, Mez?
Geez, you really did throw me under the bus, didn't you?
Yeah, it was about 10, 12 seconds. Yeah, so...
Yeah. I was going to make that point. I was going to make that point too. Lap 5.
My favourite point is that safety car just did the fastest lap of the race. So congratulations, safety car, Mercedes AMG. Legacy car sets the fastest lap of the race in the V8 Veterans. It is V8. It is the GT3 spec, so it won't count. And Michael Talyancic leads the pack back to green once more at the end of... Sorry, next lap. Will be the end of next lap. You can pit and get one of your compulsory stops out of the way. And we will go back green, and now we will try and do so single file, and we're more likely to get further into this race single file, and Talyancic has gone. Hammer has been planted firmly down, and Ken Ladder, you've got a job to do. Darren Lobb has already picked off one spot off of that start. Smart's right there and underneath his rear wing as well. And we look deeper in the pack. Paul Warwick's up 3 spots. And there's a multitude of drivers at the very tail end of the field, down a ton of spots, obviously, because they've taken their stops. Checking that Knight was one of the drivers that got the strategy head switched on. And he's going to pick off one spot for his trouble at the same time. So one more spot out of the way for Jamie Knight. He will get the headlights of the Synergy Sim Racing Commodore fixed firmly forward.
Yeah, fantastic stuff there. Talyancic had a really, really good jump. He's already 1.3 seconds up the field at the moment. He's running away from these guys. He'll start to pull out of draft range. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Ken Ladder. He's going to have Darren Lobb and Christian Spark all over the back of him. So watching him come across the top of the mountain. Now we have him to the massive descent. You can see watching him coming into Forest Elbow. Very narrow line from Kenneth Ladder going in there. He's got a little bit of a gap to the cars behind at the moment. But Darren Lobb, more importantly, will be sitting in draft range. You can see 1.34 seconds back from Talyancic to Ladder. So yeah, Talyancic is absolutely going for it. You can see the draft playing a little bit of an effect now, just closing up Christian Smart and off the curb, braking hard into the chase.
I think Todd Duggan's just gone around, by the way, at Forest Elbow and hit the inside barriers quite hard. But at the tail end of the field and out there and isolated, so there will be no safety car for that one. He's got all the time in the world to get that car turned around, and his night now goes from masterclass to disaster class for Todd Duggan. And he might be one of the few that might look to come in next time by. If he pits this lap and takes a fast repair, he will still have to come back down and pick off. I think Flavel's actually going to come into the lane. There's a couple of drivers feeding out of this one. And by our reading on the rules set, the pit window is not open until next time by.
Yeah, try to go back and double check on that as well, just to make sure, because yeah, if you're taking a pit stop now, well, yeah, you're just burning yourself at this point. So yeah, I'm gonna go back and double check what that rule is, just whether or not these guys are in the clear or not.
I'm interested as well. We need to read out the specific text on this one. So I believe the text was actually on the you must take at least one lap on track under the green flag before you can pit. And, well, they took the green under the safety car, effectively. They came through and took a green flag lap. So that will need to be clarified. So here it is, so the literal definition of it, and this is exactly how the rules read. Over on the right, still point that this is ambiguous. On resumption of green flag racing, well, Talyancic went before the last corner, so that would be green flag racing for me. Compulsory pit stop may not be served until the driver has crossed the start-finish line on track, under green flag conditions at least once. So effectively, the entire field crossed the start-finish line under green flag conditions on lap 4, but race control may mean you must come back past under green flag conditions, which would be lap 5. So there will be some rules ninjas out there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would actually go the other way. I'd say once the safety car hits pit lane, typically from rules that I've always understood, especially in real life, once the safety car has hit pit lane, the track goes green. So when you cross the start-finish line, you're crossing it at green with the green flag. My reading of that rule would say that those that pitted at the end of lap 4 should be okay because they did take the green flag and cross the start finish line. So we'll see. We've both got different views on it, but I got a feeling that the way that rule reads, I think they're okay.
Yeah. It's I'm really curious. That's one that we'll be following as well. And what would you say would be the V8 veterans version of a technical directive in terms of Jamie McKnight is around and backwards, and I get the feeling that may trigger a pit stop for Jamie McKnight at the end of that one. And Greg Sharp has just jumped on the radio as well, so that may be as a result of that one.
Yeah, might get back and have a replay at some point, but
Todd Duggan's just made a request to tow. I think he's out of the last corner.
There he is. Because Todd Duggan obviously hit the wall at a Forest Elbow. So obviously maybe thinking that it needed to do the other lap and the engine's just expired at that point. Is it safety car? There is the call, safety car. There it is. So the field resets again. You can see Brenton O'Brien on screen. That car is missing a lot of panels off that thing at the moment, but safety car is out, so there's an opportunity to get that repaired.
So here's the thing. Paul Byrne is actually out of position in terms of this one. He's a lap down, which is of note in and around that battle pack. But what we do know now is that for sure, 100% for sure, this time by the pit lane will be open for compulsory pit stops. And there will be some drivers that have already served theirs, and I think they will be the drivers that make the biggest gain right here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the smart call. If you can take a compulsory stop now, go for it. Get it done. And oh, look at the lockups. Everyone trying to gain a little advantage into pit lane. So it should be a fairly straightforward pit stop. Now, do they do the short fuel? Just take what they need to sort of get them longer in the race? Do they take tyres and a bit of extra fuel? This is where we start to see what that strategy is going to work out to be. So we'll see as they hit the box what's going to happen here.
So in terms of the amount of fuel that was effectively required, I think it's about 115 litres tonight too. So, which is a bit more than a tank. And we're not lap 18 yet, so there will still be another required fuel stop. That now pushes that out to about lap 29. But all of these laps behind the safety car are reducing that amount that we're required to take. I can tell you that there has been a change for the lead. Taliencic is not going to exit the lane in the lead. Greg Sharp is ahead of him. There's a few drivers that haven't pit. Michael Stewart, by the way. Oh, no, never mind. My apologies. That will be... He is on an out lap, and that's for serving a drive-through penalty. So that is completely... He's not served a pit stop, because I was about to say, he looks like he's in a really good spot. Multiple drivers in this queue. Stephen Banks, Scotty Van Loon, Damien Cross, and Greg Sharp all came to the pit lane on the end of lap 1/lap 2. So they have not completed a compulsory pit stop. They will have to pit twice.
Yeah, they'll have to pit one more time. But the rest of the field will definitely have to pit one more time. So it kind of works out okay for them. They gain track position out of this as well. But yeah, you're going to have... oh, what's going on there?
This is unlapping.
Yep, okay. Yeah, it's just noticing where the leader of that behind the safety car was doing. It just looked very awkward for a second, but yeah, just noticing as well, Scotty Van Loon, you might have already mentioned, not taking a stop at all, has stayed on track, so might be worth actually getting to pit lane, especially with the damage on the car at the moment. I would 100% be hitting the lane straight away, get that car repaired and get back into it. With a car in state like that, and obviously everyone else getting a free pit stop, you're not really... It's fine.
It's just a flash.
You are a dynamic model, you don't... It's fine. But yes, but long-term strategy-wise, he's just going to be giving it away at the moment. Should definitely be trying to hit the lane as soon as you can.
Well, what I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen at home, Scotty Van Loon is currently leading the sports sedan category. That's not a V8 supercar anymore. Although, you know what? He's not even escorting... There'd be no way that your luggage would make it to the airport in that boot.
I don't think you can fit any luggage in that boot with the amount of things that are in there. You ever seen the back of a supercar? so much stuff there.
Fuel tank.
You're not fitting anything in there. You might fit. Everyone will fit in there, but that's about it.
Well, if it looks anything like that, it would not be good for hiding dead bodies. Don't think about it. Definitely wouldn't be.
Whoa. Oh no. Oh, this is going downhill. Anyway.
Race 1 of the season, and we're still settling in. I have not had enough sleep, I'll tell you that much. Mez is sitting next to me, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, just going, well, this has been a nice commentary career. I've enjoyed myself thus far.
Yeah. My return to the gig is going to be very short-lived at this rate. Scott's not throwing me under the bus. He's, yeah. Anyway, moving on. We can see Steve Gumley at the moment was in pit lane for an extended period of time. Has come back out on track, so we'll try and...
That was a tow, so Steve Gumley was in that lap 1 accident, so that's him returning to the circuit and returning to the lead lap. So that is Todd Duggan sitting in there, waiting for somebody to come running out with replacement parts for the front end, the bonnet, the rear end, the engine, the car, the driver.
Imagine if we go back to the old days of F1 where you literally just had spare cars sitting at the back. You just throw your steering wheel in the new car and off you go.
T-car. Yeah, well, yeah, except for they were no good for really tall and really short drivers because they were set up in the middle. You'd have to adjust the pedal box before you could go racing.
I'm very tall, so it wouldn't work for me too well. But yeah, the good thing we don't have to worry about that in sim racing. It's we do it from the comfort of our home. So,
in the meantime, everyone's filing back down. I get the feeling safety car will probably be in at the end of this lap. Important to note, though, Mez, with the new regulations, this counts as a lap led. So Stephen Banks has just netted himself 1 bonus point.
Yep, has definitely done that. I wonder if the safety car counts as well. Does the safety car get a point out of this as well?
Can we give them a bonus point?
I reckon we should. So... But yeah, it'd be interesting. Scotty Van Loon again did not go down the pit lane at that time, still sitting in 2nd place. So,
I mean, I don't blame him.
Interesting. Yeah, give it a go. Interesting though. So
we're already on it. This is the live points graphics. As you can see, Stephen Banks is currently leading the championship right now. Stephen Banks, if you're watching along back tomorrow, I can guarantee you he's grabbing a screen grab of that, and that is going on Twitter. Look, Mum, look, I led the championship.
All I can hear is stop the count coming from somewhere in the spectators. Just stop it now, leave it. We can call it now. It's all good.
And with that graphic, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure bringing you season number 17 of the V8 Veterans. After 8 laps at the mountain, the season is now over. Stephen Banks is your champion. It was a long, hard-fought season.
Yep. Played the strategy right. That's the end of the day. That's how you win these championships. You should play the strategy right, and he's done that perfectly. Amazing job.
Okay, so in terms of things, by the way, you didn't participate in the Bathurst 1000 last weekend, the official one. So that was. I got an experience in V8s. I don't like driving these cars. I hear you're okay with them, Mez.
No. You obviously have never seen me drive one of these things. If you think I'm okay in these things, I'm an absolute wobbler in these things. They're I've had quite a few years in sim racing, and I've dealt with some tricky cars to drive over the years, but Supercar is just one of those cars I just cannot seem to get my head around. Like, hats off to the guys who, like even my own teammates in 9.5, like those guys are ridiculous. I do practice sessions with them, and they're like 2 seconds down the road on me, and I feel like I'm wheeling the absolute wheels off these things and just I'm nowhere near them. So absolute hats off to these guys who can actually get the pace out of these cars.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you go harder and all of a sudden you're like 5-10 slower and you're like, but I was trying 10 times harder. I was wheeling the thing. It felt heavier. It felt quicker. Why wasn't it quicker? Yeah. There are mystery unbeknownst to me.
Yeah, and especially around a track like Bathurst. Like Bathurst is tricky enough as it is. Like I've been practicing with for the support series. It's coming here on Friday night. Practicing in the cup car, and it's just trying to wheel that thing around this track is interesting at times. And then you have a 600 horsepower V8 supercar that just has no grip in the rear end. Yeah, no, these guys, their hats off to them. How they can do it is just I can't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, makes no sense to me. Let alone we've got 40 of them here tonight, 40 plus of them that are enjoying themselves, have enjoyed themselves in the V8 supercars. When will we see the Gen 3? How long will it take for us to see the Gen 3? Will that Gen 3 car bring improvements for Mez and myself behind the wheel of a supercar? In the meantime, safety car has made its way into the pit lane. We will be back under green flag racing. We will be 8 laps complete here when Stephen Banks decides to go. He's been incredibly patient. He's biding his time, still maintaining 80 kilometers an hour. He holds the field, he holds them and he holds them. And I think actually, mind you, Scotty Van Loon might be his best friend right now, because if that is a crippled car, that's going to hold up everyone behind him. And Stephen Banks won't mind that. He'll disappear down the road as much as he possibly can. Keep your eyes on Michael Stewart, who's currently sitting in 3rd place. He was quick at the tail end of last season. Stephen Banks in the last corner has now decided to go on the run out of Murray's. The run back to the line. Stephen Banks will chalk up another lap led. And now here comes Michael Stewart looking to make his presence known from Scotty Van Loon behind as well.
Yeah, good restart. Everyone bolts away from the line. So Van Loon's going to be interesting to see how he goes. How much has this car got in straight line speed? Got cars making their way to pit lane. Brenton O'Brien looks like he'll be trying to tick off another of the compulsory pit stops as well. Might as well at this point of the race believe Brenton has already done 1 stop. Actually, Brenton's done 4. Okay.
So at least 2 of them would count, so...
Yeah, maybe he's just playing the longer strategy game, getting that fuel in the car to get yourself longer in the race. Obviously, you don't have to worry about meeting your compulsory stops. You've already done it. But you can just get the car fueled up, get longer in the race, see where you go from there. As they start to make their way across the top of the mountain, Van Loon doing pretty good so far. You can see Stephen Banks is just chipping away at the moment, just running away from the field. But a bit of a bottleneck is following up behind. Michael Stewart, so at the end of last season, had some really, really good pace. Qualified down in 20th, so probably not the spot where he would have wanted to. But now he's going to be all over the back of Scotty Van Loon, and it'll be interesting to see if he can get a good run out of Forest Elbow, try and make a move down into the chase.
Yeah, and Paul Burns unfortunately picked himself up. That was the car that was making contact in that battle pack as well. Ignoring blue flags, gets himself a drive-through penalty. Hayes now, I believe, back on the lead lap. No, he's actually only 1 down. Sorry, my apologies. So isn't on the lead lap, and this will take him further off the back end of this thing. And have a look at Michael Stewart as that V8 supercar gets wound up in a straight line. It'll be Mustang versus Mustang. One of them's got a bigger rear wing than the other. And one of them is driven Cam Waters style on the run down into the chase on lap number 9. Stephen Banks says, yes, another time by, boys, please. I would love a little bit of a break. I love an opportunity to stretch my legs and go clear here. And the thing that's just tipped through my head here, Simon, is... do you remember Triple Eight's strategy a couple of years ago from the Bathurst 12 hour? They had to clear something like 8 compulsory pit stops. They got them all done in the first half of the race. That was their target. Every time there was a safety car, they took one. Brenton O'Brien, for my liking, is doing exactly the same.
Yep, smart strategy, although I would say that he's probably gone a bit too far with it, only having 4 stops. You can see side by side the run that Michael Stewart was looking to have. And it looks like it's going to be job done through to 2nd place. So now Michael Stewart will get his head down. It's got the job done. You can see, got the in-car camera. Be hot sitting in that cockpit at the moment, especially with that sun beating down on the track. But looks like he's got it all under control. But yeah, this will be a chance to sort of get away from the field. But yeah, it's with what you were saying with Brenton O'Brien. Yeah, got those stops over, well and truly over and done with. There's a few others as well that have got their stops over and done with by the looks of it. The first one I could see that's done 2 stops is Dean Flavel. in 27th. So be interesting to see what happens with there. But yeah, looks like most of the front runners, or pretty much all of the front runners at the moment, will be needing to have one more pit stop before the end of this race.
So we're having a few timing glitches at the moment. Dean Flavel is currently running a little bit better than 42nd place, indeed 15 spots better than 42nd place. Brenton O'Brien's now back out on track and punching away in clear air. And the benefit for him is he is punching away in clear air. So we'll have to keep half an eye on his lap times and how long he chooses to stay out. Remember, the only reason he will have to come back to pit lane for the rest of the night, ladies and gentlemen, is because he has to in terms of fuel range. He will not get to the end of the race from here. It will be about 7 or 8 laps short of getting to the end. So if this goes green flag to the end, we'll still have to make another stop. But it won't be compulsory, it will be fuel limited. This is the battle packs in the middle of traffic. Taliance just picked up a couple spots and have a look at Lob starting to line the few of them up. Christian Smart has managed to get through out of both Darren Lob and Ken Ladder, and now Ladder's going to fire it back at him on the outside. Smart and Ladder as they come out of hell corner, and right now that battle pack is the flaming fires of hell, because there is hot air coming out of V8 supercars everywhere you look.
Yeah, this is going to be the tricky bit. How do you position the car as you run down into Griffin's Bend at the moment? Everyone's trying to sit behind the car in front. Just try and hold them up. Kent Ladder very wide. You don't want to be out there at all. That does not work. No matter what car you're in, he's going to lose another spot. He's going to fall behind. Lob looked like he was going to have a bit of a look as well, but couldn't quite get there. So he did a good job in gaining that position, but yeah, ended up losing it just by running a little bit too wide. You can see on board with Darren Lobb at the moment. You can see just a train of cars in front at the moment. You can see there's a bit of a checkup at the moment. I'm just trying to catch who that is. I believe it's Damien Cross at the moment. That's sort of holding them up a little bit across the top of the mountain. So you can see them. Lots of puffs of smoke everywhere. Everyone's just driving on the edge of these things, trying to get everything out of them. And see over the dipper falling down the hill. You see Taliancic is all over the back of him at the moment. He's looking big lock of brakes from the 555, and I think it was on lock as well further up as well. Cars are looking left, right and centre.
And Taliance just looks for the overlap. He was looking for the overlap from the exit of Forest Owen. He had to wait. Now he's going to have Christian Smart underneath his rear wing. And this new pit strategy business, this can stay a while longer, because this is creating some interesting racing. They're going to go too wide as they get down. They're going to look to go 3 down the inside, and Ladder's going to try and get down there as well on cross. Lob's going to try and sneak through there. He's getting freight trained at the moment as Damien Cross. He's there at the moment. He's slipped back to 10th spot. Lobs down the inside, and here comes Kirby as well. And it looks like Damien Cairns is going to have a crack as well. So the 555 was not just the cork in the bottle, it turned into the entire damn railway as they all ran by him.
I actually have to give a lot of credit to, you can see Cross is going to lose another spot out of this one. That is actually a really difficult position to be in, especially when you've got all the quick guys that are quick succession, boom, 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 straight past you. It's very easy to lose eyesight of where you are, and to make sure that you don't accidentally cut across a guy in front of you. So Cross has done a really, really good job to manage that. Yeah, he's losing a few places out of it, but he keeps going as it is. You can see, just looking there, it looks like has gotten through on Greg Shark as well. That's McKnight up to 4th place. So this is a really good drive for McKnight. He was one of the early pitters. We actually saw him spinning earlier as well. So this is a really good recovery at the moment, up to P4. You can see he's already starting to push a bit of a gap out, but he's got Taliancic right up behind Sharp at the moment. So
there's a big check-up. Track is jammed. Track is absolutely jammed at the cutting. And if you haven't served a pit stop, this is what you wanted to see, because this is the other cars falling behind so far that you can clear your compulsory stop. Brenton O'Brien, the problem for him now is that he's approaching these guys, and any advantage he may have gained, he's just about to lose it. Never mind, sorry, my apologies. Brenton O'Brien's crossing the start-finish line. I thought he was just about to fire in there. I think it was actually Paul Burns who was on his way up at the cutting at that point in time. So Brenton O'Brien will actually make a major inroad on a ton of cars there.
Yeah, just waiting. I was trying to listen out for if there was going to be a safety car call, but looks like race control is just giving it a bit of time. So let them sort themselves out. Obviously didn't want to bring it back on the safety car. They wanted to let this race run. It's obviously going to affect a lot of those guys caught up in that accident, even those that weren't directly involved with it. We'll get a quick replay to have a look.
Just in the back of this shot? It was.
Yeah.
You have a look at the cars that are coming, and we'll just stay with the cutting cam at this point in time. Elbow, hip, and shoulder. Somebody runs wide, and it was Chad Lewis where they all just piled in. He lost the rear end of the car, and there was quite deep. And then we all know how this goes. One guy gets checked up. Everyone else has no visibility firing into the cutting, and you can't clear yourself like that. Who was that picked up the throttle?
I'm just curious to see here. It looks like it was very, very good contact. We'll have a look. I just want to see what's going on here. And oh, that's weird. That is real weird. So there's the big hit. So Chad Lewis is sort of slowed up.
That car. Watch this car. The one that's in the middle of the track at the moment, just getting pushed backwards. He's looking at a wall of car. You can't do that. You can't do that from Simon Hendershide.
No, you got to wait. You've got to wait for everyone to go past. Yes, it's painful. Yes, you're losing spots, but you just create more carnage. And there you can see he's trying to go. But yeah, sometimes you just got to wait. But I'd like to see again on Chad's car, because it was like it was really weird rear quarter contact. Maybe it was like wheel on wheel, and that's all it done. It's just spat Chad around. So yeah, very, very different on incident. Just have another quick look. Go rear. This will be good. We'll be able to see what's going on. But yeah, he's just slowed up, and it's not much. There was not much in that at all.
You get the feeling it was a fuel disparity.
I'm not quite sure.
I get the feeling that Chad Lewis has got a lot more fuel on board, because just the way that car sailed in there, so much more pace.
I don't know, maybe the other car involved maybe just went in a bit too hot, and then there was just that little bit of contact. But yeah, no, I haven't seen that sort of thing happen where you've clipped the outside of the car and then it's spun like that. So yeah, not sure what's going on there. That's obviously affected a lot of drivers, and obviously they're not going to be too happy about it, but here's what it is. And just notice now, Taliancic has gotten through and is up into P4, so now he'll be on the charge to try and catch Jamie McKnight, and as well, Jamie McKnight putting in some quick lap times as well. So
Scotty Van Loon's missed his pit stall.
Oh no. You hate that. You hate that when iRacing gives you that pit box that's right at the end, and you don't ever see it coming, and then boom, it's gone. So
at least he's got that one out. Well, that's his first pit stop of the night too. That's the if he'd pitted under any of the safety cars, he'd already be aware of that. That wouldn't be a problem. But yeah, that's the other piece of pain. Stephen Banks has managed to get clear to the point of, I think he was 2 seconds out at one point, but now Michael Stewart's starting to run him back down. These guys have gotten 7 seconds clear of Jamie McKnight in behind them, and Taliancic is starting to close in on McKnight now as well. Sharp's in a really, really strong position here, and it'll then be Christian Smart, Ken Latter, and Darren Lobb. Those three will be locked in a season-long battle. You mark my words.
Yeah, interesting about Ladder and Darren Lobb. I would have thought they would have came through the field a little bit quicker, but they seem to be sort of battling with each other a bit more. So, but yeah, so that's sort of allowed Taliancic to get the runaway. But really impressive this drive from Stewart at the moment, even from Steve Banks. He got the lead early, and he obviously led off the restart, but just got his head down and just went for it. But Michael Stewart's just been chipping away bit by bit. I've been watching the sort of the sector times over the last few laps, and it's just a 10th here, a 10th there. It's just consistently been chipping away, just not working the car too hard, not doing anything silly, but just he's got plenty of time. We're still on lap 14 of 41 laps, so he's got plenty of time to close this gap down, but just doing a very solid job of closing that gap at the moment. At the moment, they are effectively going to be, I would say, the leaders. If a pit stop is to happen anytime soon, they're going to be fairly clear at the moment. Looking at the pit stop times as well, yeah.
So that is the lap that they came into the pit lane at the moment. Yeah.
So trying to look for the pit stop times as well, just to see.
So Michael Stewart is the first cars to have cleared one of his compulsory pit stops. So remember what we were talking about at the front end of the show? He came in, he took that bite-sized pit stop. Well, he's got a bigger one to come, and that will be his final compulsory stop. But he's brought track. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, that is actually not a pit lane. That's not a pit stop. That is actually a pit lane drive-through penalty.
Oh no! Oh,
So
this is looking so good for him.
Yes, he did. Yes, so yeah, he has actually been given a penalty very early on.
Yeah. I was thinking that's going to work out really, really well for Michael. But yeah, no, this is actually just working out really, really well for Stephen Banks at the moment. So just got to keep doing what he's doing, and we can see on the screen drive-through penalty as well for looks like for Tim Nichols with contact with 727. So
that was what caused that blockage at the cutting. He was the car on the outside in the performance car. Yep.
Well, race control has deemed that one. We were interested to see what they were going to do with that one. And yeah, race controls obviously thought, well, maybe he did miss his brake marker and cause contact. So yeah, unfortunate, but yeah, one of those things you live and you learn from it. You can see Talienchich at the moment closing up big time on Jamie McKnight. Is this going to be a dive? No, Mike will pull back a little bit, but we'll definitely be looking for an opportunity to get past, probably looking towards Mountain Straight up to turn 2.
So Mr. People's Champion and setup maker Jamie McKnight, Michael Talienchich is sitting in your rear view mirror. Tally, if you want to let him know what you think of the setups, now's the opportunity. This is probably one of the best opportunities you get all season long. Wrap on that rear bumper if you like the setup, and don't touch him whatsoever if you're not a fan.
Interesting that you're the person that creates the setups, and then you see someone like Talienchich come up behind you and just look at the drive he's got at the moment. He's going to get alongside. This is going to be a job done when they get down to turn 2. Talienchich, boom, job done, off you go. Very, very nice move there. Very clinical pass, and yeah, now it'll be Talienchich trying to chase down, and it looks like it's a 6.8 second gap. So those last few laps, that last lap for example, it was a 2:05.1, 2:05.3 for Stewart and Banks. Talienchich 2:04.4 on that last run as well. So Talienchich's got some really, really good pace going on at the moment.
And they'll settle themselves down and in, and Jamie McKnight won't hate this too much because he's now got a drafting buddy that he can work with, albeit Talienchich will have a little bit of fresher rubber. In the meantime, though, Stephen Banks still manages to control this field. Have a look at the lap times from the field. The fastest lap time thus far is 2:04.727. That was his most recent lap, actually, I think, on the screen at the moment. Yep, fastest lap is actually Darren Lobbs, but that was not the lap that's actually up on screen. Something's happened to Craig Friend. There was just some word on the in-race radio about what happened at the cutting. That looked like they were just squabbling a little bit.
Oh no, that's gone around. Oh, that's big hit. Oh, it has caught a lot of people up. Oh, there's the rejoin. Nice. That was close, but nicely avoided by the other car. Yeah, very, very careful you do that flick spin there, but yeah, that start of that incident, that looked very Ambrose Murphy-esque when I was having a look at that one. That just got sort of a little bit of contact as I was running into the cutting, and yeah, it didn't sort of work out too well.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, with all the beating and bumping and banging going on, incident point penalties, ladies and gents. Normally we don't talk them around Bathurst because the off-tracks, they're not really a thing around here. We don't tend to pick them up, but the car-to-car contact penalties will start to be racking up 17x. That's effectively your 5th car contact or 4 car contacts. And an off-track as Ken Leiter slices down the inside of Griffins and picks one away from Greg Sharp. That, however, I think is going to buy a little bit of time in the favour of Darren Lobb, because that cost him some momentum on the run-up to the cutting. But now Lobb's got the problem. He's going to have to follow Sharp the entirety of the way across the top of the mountain. So, job done for Ken Leiter, and I think that might be just a little bit of time bought for him.
Yeah, you can already see him starting to skip away a little bit at the moment. was a very good, very nice move as we saw there. Darren Lobb all over the back. It's so hard. You're leaning on that rear bumper. You're so tempted just to sort of have a little bit of a look, especially coming over into Skyline. If you could get close enough, you have a bit of a look. But it really is, once you sort of get up across the top of the mountain, it really is just single lane traffic through. If you get close enough, you can have a little bit of a look down here, but I'd almost say in most situations you're just going to, big lock up from Greg Sharp there. Those front tyres are not going to be too happy. But this is where you're going to set it up. You're going to get as close as you can to the rear bumper and just let the draft do its thing and give you an opportunity to go for a pass down into the chase.
Yeah, 270 clicks as they come over the crest on Conrad, up to 280. What are they going to get to at peak speed? 295 right at the kink before they'll start to slow it all the way down back to second gear for Darren Lobb at the chase. Still hasn't got that job done either. So he is still sitting right there and right behind Greg Sharp. I get the feeling this might be intentional. He might be looking to get the move done at Griffin's, and then nobody else can follow him through, which will then buy him some time. Exactly what's happened to Ken Latta.
Yeah, although he's got to get a lot closer than that. I feel like he's just a little bit too far off the bumper. Greg's been doing a really good job in just getting the car off the corner and just sort of keeping that gap a bit closer. Yeah, again, Darren Lobb's just not quite close enough. I don't think he'll get there for a move, so he'll have to sit behind for another lap at this rate.
You've really got to have overlap as you crest that hill. If you aren't there at the crest of the hill, I don't think you're getting down the inside. And now at Shores, we're going to end up with a completely bottled up pack for one more lap. In the meantime, Stephen Banks is starting to get shadowed even more by Michael Stewart. The margin's down to 0.4 of a second, and here comes Talyancic as well. Margin back to Talyancic is now down to about 3.5 seconds from Michael Stewart to Talyancic, 4 seconds to race leader Stephen Banks. So Tally is coming in the new Altus Australia liveries that was announced just recently. Partnership. Was it Premier Sim Racing, PSR? Sim Racing, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, bit sad to sort of see the Pursuit Sim Racing name disappear off the cars, but again, massive opportunity for the team to be aligned with someone like Altus Esports, obviously under a different name, Altus Australia, but we know what Altus has achieved on the global stage of sim racing, so it's only going to be onwards and upwards, I think, for these guys, and you can sort of see already, like, Talyancic has just been driving really, really well tonight, so, and it'll be one of those things. I don't believe Talyancic would be team leader. I'm not sure how the inner workings of that. Sometimes just having that weight off your shoulders all of a sudden gives you that bit more freedom. You're not worried about certain things anymore. You can just focus on being a driver. And it looks like tonight it's giving him an opportunity to. He's really showing that, yeah, he's still definitely got the pace in the car.
He's been one of the quick and top performers. Drivers are starting to come down to the attention of their pit crew. Michael Stewart got to the rear bumper of Stephen Banks, did not get the race lead, will not score the bonus point for leading one lap. I was hoping that he might stay out and try and earn that one, but remember, with 80 litres on this tank, I get the feeling that's maximum fuel distance. So anyone who has not yet pit in this race to take on fuel, they will be due in about now. The problem is, it was basically only Michael Stewart that was left out there.
Yeah, so in we've got a few guys. Stewie Hall also pitted as well, so he'll take that stop and yeah, be borderline. They should definitely make it home from here. I'm pretty confident with my calculations. Yes, 24. Yep, I'm horrible at math. I'll admit that straight up. So trying to calculate basic things is 20 laps is difficult for me. But yeah, that'll definitely do it for them. But unfortunately, yeah, for Michael Stewart, that would have been perfect for him. He'd have a great opportunity there if he'd got that first stop out of the way. He'd be in a prime position to take real advantage, and he had really good pace too. So yeah, unfortunately, just that first stop did not go his way. Opportunity to take that first stop didn't go his way, but still plenty to go on. If you get a safety car, then absolutely that's going to play him back into this race as well.
Yeah, because his first driver with that pit stop kicked out of the way And, oh, sorry, no, he will still have one more pit stop to go, but the kicker is now he's on that fresh rubber, so he has the opportunity to punch out and see if he can grab some time, and still this battle pack kicks on. Darren Lobb has still yet to get past Greg Sharp, and now down to the inside from Ken Latta. He's looking to get on by Jamie McKnight, but McKnight pulls that car up in the chase absolutely perfectly, flicks it back across the right-hand side and pits. So Ken Latta gets held up, and he will not be happy with that one from Jamie McKnight.
That was a big move from Kenneth Latta. I'm surprised he actually had a go at that one. It didn't look like he was going to be close enough. And yeah, maybe a strategic call from Jamie McKnight saying, you know what, I don't really want to have this battle right now. We could get home from here. He's already taken a pit stop, so this is going to be his second stop over and done with. Sorry, what was you going to say to that?
Yeah, so this is the critical factor. Remember, with that first safety car, that is Jamie McKnight's first eligible compulsory pit stop. He has already pit, but it was not eligible to count. Right. So he has another stop to come. Albeit, will be up on the tracks and down again.
Yep, I thought he took that stop after the safety car. I didn't realise it was during the safety car. My bad there. Oh, that's why I thought that was going to be good for him. So that's where I thought the pit stop came from. But no, if he's got one more pit stop, so he's going to be in the same situation as Michael Stewart at the moment. He's going to be praying for a safety car at some stage to be able to get that second stop over and done with. You almost want it to be a bit later in the race, because if you get sort of a few laps on the tyres, it's almost worth taking the stop anyway to get a fresh set of tyres on the car. So it'd be interesting. That's kind of what you've been hoping for at this point. If you can get a safety car at right enough time that everyone's going to want to take tyres to get to the end, that'll play you straight back into this race perfectly.
No, I hear Scott McCune on the radio at the moment, so something has happened to Scott McCune. Whether or not it's just hey, this has happened, I just want to have a look at, which may mean that there maybe not necessarily any major goings on, but it may be just a minor goings on that he's called for a review. I'll tell you what, Tim Nichols actually starting to show a good turn of pace. He's actually just recently pit as well and gotten fresher up. No, sorry, that was my apologies. That was a drive-through penalty. But he was faster than Ken Latta on that last lap, which says to me that Ken Latta was significantly hampered by Jamie McKnight trying to get back down to the lane. So that's not great for Ken Latta, because he's lost a lot of time. In fact, Darren Lobb is actually now back with him, given that Lobb has now cleared Greg Sharp as well. So back into the draft range for Darren Lobb, and Christian Smart got through on that last lap as well. I think it was done at Griffins.
Lobb also setting a very fast lap time, 24.2 compared to a 24. It's same thing with 24.2 from Latta. So yeah, the pace picking up big time at the moment. We're having a quick. Oh, nope, nope.
So it was turn one. Yeah, so last corner, that's McKnight peeling off to the lane. So this is where the move will get done. Finally gets the drive that he was looking for, Darren Lobb. He is now alongside, and Greg Sharp doesn't fight that one altogether too difficultly. Unfortunately for Darren Lobb, what he does do is he does run Greg Sharp a little bit wide, and that allows Christian Smart to come on through. So we no longer use Greg Sharp as a pick. In the meantime, though, Greg Sharp is about to have David Kirby and Damien Cairns for companies, two of the V8 Vets regulars. And Damien Cairns likes himself a wacky strategy, so this season's going to absolutely play into his hands. And David Kirby is been Mr. Consistency over sort of the last 3 seasons or so. Yeah.
Always got to be consistent, especially in these long championships. And oh, look at the car sliding over the top of the hill. Here's what I was saying earlier, how these guys can slide the car through there and not put it into the wall, just mental. But you can see on board now, we're going to head down the front straight. Love the wrist on the shifter and just the casual pull the 6th gear. Damien's obviously just having a very relaxing drive at the moment. He's not too stressed. So they fire down into the chase at 295 kilometers an hour, hard on the brakes, down through the gears, down to 2nd over the curb. Beautiful run through that corner. Just see they're just closing up a little bit on Greg Sharp at the moment.
Had enough time to give us the shuckers as well.
Very good. And yeah, over the start-finish line, and we're just watching this little battle pack at the moment. You can see just in front of him as well, Christian Smart's just starting to check out a little bit as well. So the pace in Greg Sharp's car at the moment just can't quite keep up with the guys in front. It's definitely still doing decent times, still comfortably going to sit up front at the moment, but yeah, just can't quite sit with the guys in front.
And here comes the cast of thousands to the pit lane, because Travis Hunt's going to be coming down, hopefully to grab a new car. Indeed he does. And some fresh rubber and a pit stop. And I get the feeling this might be actually his second compulsory pit stop complete. So this will put Travis Hunt back out there, and he'll run to the end of the race from here. Right on the halfway mark, that gets the compulsory pit stops out of the way for Travis Hunt. And 250 kilometers on the board for tonight's race. 120 or so to go to complete his night of race.
Yep. So that'll be a big relief knowing that you've got all those stops out of the way. You can run to the end. If need be, if a safety car was to come out, you can comfortably say, well, look, I don't need to take a stop. I don't need to take tyres. I can just keep going and get some track position out of it. So whether you would, that'd be the next question. But this is the battle we were sort of waiting to see develop. Stephen Banks has got Michael Taliancic all over the back of him. These guys still have to take one stop, but this is going to be really good for Taliancic. If he can get the job done, get out in front, it's going to set him up for a really good opportunity to take the win in this race. And he's alongside. It's not the ideal spot. You're on the outside when you go through the kick over the curb, but Taliancic has got that done well before they got to the braking zone. Great, fantastic move. He'll go straight to the lead.
I'm expecting Stephen Banks will go as far as about lap 28. So,
let's take a look again. That was interesting. Now that Stephen Banks was going to actually try to come back at him into the final quarter, but no, pulled out at the last second.
So they're going to have a massively different amount of fuel on. Well, no, it won't be massive. It's only 5 laps, and most of them were out of pace car. So for Stephen Banks, he is getting the head down and going about his work. Jason Upton's just asked us for what were the most recent lap times for all of our drivers. That's what you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen. On the right-hand side, the timing tower, 2:04.722, 1.2 seconds quicker than Stephen Banks, although there was a little bit of a draft assistance. Darren Lobb, in the meantime, jumps to the 2:03s, 2:03.851, gets himself clear of traffic, and he starts heading off in pursuit of Ken Ladder.
That is a crazy lap time to be doing at this part of the stint at the moment. So, especially from Taliancic, who's basically had some clean air running. So Darren's got some cracking pace going on in that car at the moment. So he is a bit further back. He's about 4 seconds off Kenny Ladder at the moment. Kenny Ladder did a 2:04.
No, he's on him. He's on him.
Oh, he's on him. Oh, my timing's completely blocked.
Yeah,
we are.
Leader. Yeah.
I would never stuff that up. I'm a professional. I don't do that.
So where's Peter and Matt Van der Kroon this week?
They're out there. They're out there. Ninth place is Matt Van der Kroon. Oh, that was not happy.
Well, he's extracting lap time out of the car. The tyres, in the meantime, are saying, no, Darren, that'll be enough of that, thank you. As our favourite South African driver continues on. He's bang up to chat with as well, Darren Lobb. We'll always love talking to him about NASCAR, about V8 supercars, about racing in general. Great for all of us. And it'll be the downshift on the crest. No, right as he goes to tip it in.
Oh, yep. Oh man, he's done a good job to keep that off the wall. You're carrying quite a bit of pace into that corner, and because it's such like an off-camber downhill run, it's so easy. If you lock the rears, the car will sometimes just want to keep going. You just cannot pull it up. So he's done a very good job, not only with the slide, but to be able to sort of pick it up and keep going without sort of touching the wall at all. That's a good job. Rear tyres won't like it. They'll be a little bit hot for a lap or two. But hey, with the pace he's been setting at the moment, I think give him a lap or two and he'll be right back on Ken Ladder, and that position will definitely be up for grabs.
He only loses a 10th, mind you. Across that entire lap, even with the mistake, Ken Ladder has only put a 10th on him. Now, Greg Sharp is continuing to get harassed. Dave Kirby has ambitions of getting on by Greg Sharp, but for now, he'll have to sit there and look at the bumper of Greg Sharp's car in the 747 Holden Commodore for at least one more time up and across the top. But this is starting to get really spicy right here. Christian Smart got clear of these guys and then has not continued on with that pace. So he's stalled out. Darren Log drove all the way back up to Ken Ladder.
Yep. I was watching it through the cutting there. I thought Kirby was going to do a bit of Morse code on the back of Greg Sharp's bumper. He got right up close to him. See across the top of the mountain. It's so hard to see when you're coming across top. You right up the rear bumper of the car in front of you. You're kind of just sort of trying to remember where you turn in, where the apex is going to be. So you can see him running down to Forest Elbow. This is going to be key. He's going to want to. He's going for a look. I was about to say, he'd be trying to set that up for a run down the hill, but no, he's actually had a bit of a sneaky look there. But doesn't matter, he's still fairly close to the car. Now the draft's going to kick in. Christian Smart is close enough, so the draft might still help Greg Sharp out a little bit. You can see he's closing up very, very slowly. I don't think Kirby's going to get there. It's going to be a big lob if he tries to have a go at that one. Hard on the brakes.
Kirby's fuel saving. Did you see the margin open up as they went through the kink? Kirby's 100% fuel saving. In the meantime, Stephen Banks comes to the attention of his pit crew. 24 laps have now expired in race number 1 of season 17 of the V8 Veterans, and that's as far as Stephen Banks' fuel tank will go. He will forfeit the second place that he was hanging on to at that point in time. He will slot back in way down the field. Greg Sharp feeds in out of that pack as well. So this is where the fuel tanks have started to expire for those guys who are yet to pit. Compulsory pit stop of the season, number 1 for Greg Sharp and Stephen Banks at the same time. And Dave Kirby will say, thank you very much. I wanted that breath of fresh air, and he will start to get after Chris Smart now.
Absolutely. I did go back a real quick look at the replay of David Kirby into that corner. Yeah, 100%. That was a big lift as he came into the chase. So everything's sort of happening, even though he couldn't get the job done. Thinking smart. Well, if I can't get the pass, then I'll just save a little bit of fuel as you go into the corner. And yeah, good job there to do that. But now he's going to be all over the back of Christian Smart. And yeah, so Christian wasn't able to sort of skip away as much as we thought he would have. So he'll be all over the back of him by the time they get towards the Forest Elbow. Pace out of David Kirby at the moment. This little pack is actually really, really good. He's starting to get not far off the leaders in front of him as well. So yeah, you should just see what he can do. Pit stops are happening everywhere. So you've got a train of cars heading up the straight at the moment. Scott McHugh, Chris Miller and Peter van der Graan. Get that right. And yeah, watching him head into turn 2 and begin their ascend up the mountain.
G'day, Scott McHugh. Hope all is doing well, and I hope your season goes much, much better. I'm not going to give up commentating, by the way. I just thought I'd stop by to say hello and check in with your race whilst the car's pointing in the right direction. It looks all good, and I hope it stays looking all good. And can we never look at Scott McHugh again until the results screen? That'd be great.
The confidence, the confidence. You gotta have more confidence in Scott. Scott's got this.
No, it's not confidence. It's if we stay on board with him, the risk level of there being a commentator's curse goes up. We've checked in with him. He's doing great. Let's never look at him again. I don't want to see him for the rest of the night. if we don't check in with him and he manages a top 5 finish, I'm happy. Right, but the problem is we've got to put a broadcast on. We've got to entertain. He's one of my favourite drivers. Like, it shames at me that I can't watch him race.
I love you politely saying, I don't want to look at him for the rest of the night. I love how you try to put that polite spin on it. It's just great.
I love him. I love watching him. I love the fact that there is one driver that we consistently curse, but could it be any other driver, please?
To say, I did appreciate the one-handed driving down the mountain. There's me like driving anything. I'm white-knuckled going down the mountain. He's just had one hand on top of the steering wheel. Yeah, this is fine. I do this all the time. Don't worry about it. Very casual.
I think we found where the issues are surfacing from. Scott McHugh takes 2 hands on the steering wheel, please.
That's good. Yeah.
Checking in with just about all the drivers, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that we've got over on our in-car camera footage. A bunch of them have got webcams hooked up to their racing rigs. Jason Fewens throws himself a block and a dummy to the pit lane. There is no one around him for Jason Grumpy Fewens.
Oh, I've never seen someone try and fake themselves in the pit lane. That's definitely a new one.
Oh, by the way, Darren Lobb and Ken Ladder are side by side down into the chase at this point in time. Lobb is going to go to the outside. That's the onboard shot, and that's on the outside. You do not see a pass down on the outside of the chase every day of the week, but it looks like Ken Ladder is ailing. Ken Ladder to the pit lane. He needs some fresh rubber. He's struggling on this setup for tyre grip, and Lobb ran him down. Lobb got the job done. It was on the outside, Mez. That just does not happen.
I want to see a replay of that one again, as you said, and here we go to the replay. So you can see running down the straight in the draft. Now, Ken doing the smart thing, just set him on the left-hand side. Now you'll switch over, and you want to try and feed him the other side of the track because it's so much harder to go around the outside. They're both braking, they're both side by side. You can see just edging out in front. That is a fantastic move. Darren Lobb, pat yourself on the back for that one. That is to do that around the outside is quite difficult. You also got to give Ken Ladder props for that one too. Could have easily had sort of miscalculated, got that too much of that inside curb and caused a bit of contact, but no, he gave plenty of room. Realised that, yep, no, Darren's got that one. I'll let him go. So yeah, fantastic job by both of them.
Yep, and now we come to the pit lane, grab some fresh rubber and try for the undercut. Could it be that the South African driver is finding form just as his cricket team finds form, and the South Africans beat the Aussies in the one-day series this week after convincingly being handed the T20 trophy for the Australians? They did a phenomenal job in that one, but anyway, look at that. That's synchronised drivers moving back out and merging into the pit lane. Is that a synchronised swimming team of V8 veterans drivers?
Guarantee they would not have practiced that. Guarantee that would not have happened. You can see back up front. We're looking at Greg Sharp again, who I believe Chris Dale is just behind at the moment, and yeah, obviously take the pit stop as well. So 2 stops done, ready to go. So be on a new set of tyres. Not far in front, Stephen Banks as well. Obviously had to take a pit stop. Actually, no, they pitted around the same time. 2.5 laps for Stephen Banks, 2.5 laps for Greg Sharp. So they're roughly about the same strategy, but the gap is a little bit bigger between them at the moment.
I get the feeling there might be a few drivers that haven't necessarily checked the rule book for season 17, and they might be starting to fall foul, because if you think about it, this strategy makes sense if you're only looking to do the one fuel stop and get home. Jump out in front, grab all the track position you possibly can. That's what Greg Sharp and that's what Stephen Banks have both done. So if they don't have to do another compulsory stop, this would be the strategy. They would be in a phenomenal position. Unfortunately for them, they do actually have to compete in other stops. So reading the rule book, ladies and gentlemen, always very, very important. Dave Kirby in the lane, Damien Cairns both in the lane together, and Paul Warwick's gone along with them.
Yeah. Interesting to see Kirby hit the lane before. Interesting to see where Kirby comes out. His pace was really good towards the end of that stint. There's going to be the big stop too, and Kirby is rolling for the moment. He's going to come out convincingly ahead of this group as well. He'll actually pop out sort of around where Christian Smart is, so a really, really good stop. Stephen Banks will be not far behind, and then you've got followed up behind, you've got Greg Sharp and then Robert Christdale as well. And right behind them, David McKnight as well, who we saw earlier towards the front of the field, will be coming up in, they'll be 14th at the moment, but once the, position 10 at the moment, but once the pit stops sort of sort themselves out, we'll see where they go. Believe there's one more pit stop required for David McKnight as well, so there's going to be a bit of a caveat on that one.
Yes, the drivers, ladies and gentlemen, with one more compulsory stop to go. Taliancic, Lobb. Stewart, I believe, has one as well. Stephen Banks, Greg Sharp both have one, and Jamie McKnight. Those are the drivers with your compulsory stops left to go, which is unfortunate for Michael Stewart, because he's running in a phenomenal position at this point in time, but will need to come to the attention of his team for one more service.
Yeah, so, but out front at the moment, Taliancic is doing a great job, got a comfortable lead for now, but we're on board with Michael Stewart heading down the hill towards Chase. You can see him pulling 4th into 5th. Now he'll grab it one time, pull into 6th gear, and now you just let the engines rev all the way down. Depending on what gear ratio you're running, some love to run a little bit of a shorter ratio, so you'll just be hitting the limiter. Not quite a limiter, but just not much left there. Hard on the brakes, down to second gear. Grabs the curb nicely, and then you've got to just hold onto the inside curb as you run out. So he's done a very, very nice job there. And looks like that second stop we were talking about, that still needs to happen. He's going to take the opportunity now to go and do it.
Yep, so where he feeds back in will be relative now for the remainder of his race. I expect this to be a very, very short service. This car will zoop up onto the jacks, probably be there for about 2 seconds, zoop down and out and back into the lane for the remainder of his race. So get your eyes on this one.
It's a bit longer. This looks like this will be a tyre stop as well. That's enough for a tyre stop and fuel. So that's interesting.
Very, very long stop there.
Yeah, I kind of envisioned that being a lot shorter than what that was.
And the consequences of that is that he is dropped. He's in about 27, 28 now, but there is another hungry pack of cars coming. So that strategy for Michael Stewart has not worked out by any stretch of the imagination. So he will get a fresh set of tyres. But
there are a few in front that still need to take a stop, so he will gain a few positions out of it from other drivers. But yeah, now it's going to be a case of fresh tyres. You have to try to make the best you can out of it from here.
So in the meantime, Darren Lobb still has that quickest race lap with a 2:03.265. Fastest lap for Talianchis 2:03.630, Ken Lutter 2:03.355. So there's about 4 or 5 drivers that have all dipped to the 2:03s at this stage of the race. But the longer the two out in front go, the less fuel they'll have on board for their final stop. And Darren Lobb has now taken his final service and has been re-overtaken by Ken Lutter, who did get the undercut on him.
Okay, Lutter.
That one, Christian's Tomato, I think, has just dropped a spot as well.
No, Kirby as well. Yep, we did see Kirby come out behind Christian Smart. So, yep, that's a position done there. And Kirby will continue down the road.
Yeah, so that'll make sense, obviously, with the draft down Conrad. Kirby will more than have enough horsepower to get down the inside as they get to the King. Side by side as they tip in. And this will be another move around the outside, although Christian Smart was a lot further back than Ken Lutter was on Darren Lobb, but turned in and trusted his racing comrade, but job done there for Dave Kirby, and that is up to 4th spot. And Michael Talianchis, ladies and gentlemen, still yet to pit. Who's this in the lane? This will be Peter van der Kraan for his final service of the race. And he's going to resurface deep in the field.
We're not really surprised to see Talianchis running out the stop. Obviously, a lot of us that have seen Talianchis races, he tends to always run the tank out before taking his pit stop. So, not affecting him too much at the moment. His pace is not too bad. Last lap 2:04.3 versus Kenneth Latta, who has actually just 3 laps on that set of tyre, the 2:03.9. So new tyres not paying that many dividends to Latta at the moment, and obviously Talianchis had quite a sizable lead before that pit stop. So yeah, no danger at the moment for Talianchis to stay out there a bit longer, and then we'll give him obviously newer tyres towards the end of this race.
Oh, hello. That is Michael Stewart parked up at Griffin's, I believe.
Whoa, around the outside. That's always awkward when you see a car on the inside when you come through there. But we'll have a look and see what's actually going on there. He's on the radio at the moment too, so be interested to see what actually happened there. And we'll go to a replay. Had a shot. Oh, yeah. Not go back again, have a look. Yep, it's a bit further. Was he alongside? Nose is there. Oh, bit too deep. You can see it come off the curb. Just carried a bit too much pace into the corner, and yeah, cross contact. So, although he was there, it'd be interesting to see what race control thinks about that one.
I get the feeling that although overlap was achieved and overlap was maintained. So it's a different story when you're attempting to achieve enough overlap to get requirements for Racing Room, but Racing Room was still left too, so pretty much a slam dunk. Unfortunately for Simon Hedershide.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. The way the car came off the curb, yeah, it's a bit hard to sort of, yeah, the room was given and everything else, and there was still contact, so yeah, might be a bit of a slam dunk, but we don't want to preempt race control. We'll see what they say in that one. As you can see, Hunt and Nichols going side by side. Looks like Hunt's going to get the nose in front before they get down there. On the brakes into turn 2. And you can see Nickel out wide. You don't... Oh! I was just about to say that's why you don't want to be out there. There's just no grip out there at all. He's done it well to hold on to the rear of that one. But yeah, that will scare you very, very quickly when the rear just doesn't go like that.
Did you see the little grimace from Travis Hunt as well? It's just a little shake of the head and the eyes light up. He's glad he got that one done. He's so glad that he was not sitting behind Tim Nicol in much the same vein that Stephen Kennedy was just sitting there and had to watch that one unfold. And I get the feeling that Tim Nicol will be asking for a change of underwear at the pit stop. Sorry, both Stephen and Tim Nicol asking for a change of underwear at the pit stop. And there's a fresh stain in that pair of underwear for Tim Nicol. 2 in the same lap. He's got to try and get his head back in the game, and it nearly clouts the fence down at Forest Elbow just to add to the equation.
I'm assuming that Hunt was not looking in the mirror at that point because he didn't flinch, and I don't think he wanted to look in the mirror at that point because Nichols was coming from a fair way, done well to avoid the contact, but yeah, that looked very scary. And as we can see up on the screen at the moment, Simon Hedershide having a penalty, a drive-through penalty for that contact. So race control agreed, a bit of a slam dunk, and yeah, he'll have to take the drive-through for that.
Well, they'll settle themselves down on and in and try and gather themselves all back up. Tell you what, Scott McCuney's actually up into 12th. Look what I've done. No. Let's not mention that car any further. We'll check in with him after the checkered flag has flown. As I think it was Scotty Van Loon just fed back in there. Chris Blanchard from deeper in the pack as well. Got a feed in and he'd get his final service of the evening out of the way. Jamie McKnight is still flirting with the top 10, albeit with a compulsory stop to go. So continue to keep your eyes on, ladies and gentlemen. Taliancic has now taken his final service, and after that one has only just popped back out ahead of Ken Latta, although his rubber is significantly fresher now. Christian Smart looks like he might be trying to save a little bit of fuel here behind Dave Kirby, and potentially some tyre, and see if he can punch out and nick that one in the dying stages with 10 laps left to go in this race. Through the field, yeah, so Stephen Banks, Greg Sharp, and Jamie McKnight, 3 drivers inside the top 10. All 3 of those drivers will still need to make a pit stop. And here comes Christian Smart, lifts out. So there is definitely some fuel saving going on there for Christian Smart. Look to underfuel at that final stop, but that's left a little bit of a question mark over the fuel load that he will need to get this car to the finish line. Now Kirby's going to cover the inside. Little bit of a half look from Christian Smart. These two are starting to play games together. 10 laps from the end of the motor race. A locked front brake now for the equation as well, and Smart gets covered. Here they go. These two will be squabbling for the final, for the first spot of the podium as it stands. And Smart is there. He is close enough, but Dave Kirby's going to cover the inside of the road. Christian Smart looks for a gap. It doesn't open up. He moves to the outside. Once he's committed to the outside, he's going to get just about even. The nose is ahead for Christian Smart. Deep and on down into the braking zone. The outside at Griffin's Bend. He's managed to stay alongside. This becomes the inside when they get down here to the kick. And bravery on display from Christian Smart. Bravery rewarded. Job done when they get to the cutting.
That was a massive move. I was looking at that happening. He's going to run wide. He's going to run wide. No, he just had enough grip. He held it nice and tight and just held that car through the corner. That is phenomenal. I've not seen a move like that at that corner for a fair while. So hats off to Christian Smart. That was an excellent move.
biding his time, and when you pull the trigger, you've got to make sure that you make it stick. Christian Smart, somebody get down there post-race. We need to check the underside of his tyres to see if there's any super glue applied to them at the stop.
This is not over too. Kirby is still well on the back of it too, so I don't think that battle's going to end anytime soon. We look at screen at the moment. We've got Jamie McKnight and Matt Vanderkrant. This is for 9th and 10th. So this is going to be another close battle. And then we got Chris Milton, Scott McCune in P11 with as well, and then a bit further back looking at David Cross and Stephen Kennedy, this battle pack at the moment. So there's still a fair few battle packs through the field. We've got 9 to go, and there's still plenty of positions that are up for grabs. This is for 17th, 18th and 19th.
Here comes Tanek. Here comes Bruce Tanek in the background of that one. I want to stay on board with that battle because Tanek was starting to line them up. He showed the nose at the dipper, and I get the feeling that he's coming forward. And Craig Friend, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, has just called for a tow. So this will be important for Bruce Tanek.
Ooh.
He's going to try and get this job done. Craig Friend parked up just on the exit of Griffin's Bend. The safety car's been called, but who had their nose ahead there?
Oh, that'll be interesting. What's more interesting is Talliancic. He's still on track at the moment. So this will be interesting. Talliancic will be able to get the pit stop done. But, ooh, did Talliancic pit? Oh, he did 2 laps ago. Sorry, he did pit 2 laps ago. Sorry, I hadn't seen that one. So he's good. But this will be interesting. There's the few drivers that we were talking about that needed to take pit stops. This is perfect for them. They can finally get those final stops over and done with, get a new set of tyres. But it'll be interesting to see who actually takes the gamble on a pit stop. Because the tyres been running, some of the guys, you've got Jamie McKnight, 14 laps on the tyres. Christian Smart will still have decent pace, but 8 laps on those tyres. Talliancic won't need to pit. Don't worry about that at all. But you've got McCune, Miller, Hall, Hunt, guys that have done 15, 12 laps on their tyres. Are they going to say, you know what, even though it's only 9 laps to go, are they going to take the stab and say, you know what, we'll throw a fresh set of tyres on it and go for it? Or are they just going to stay where they are and drive to the end?
Well, the biggest issue is you have a look from 17th back to about 23rd. Big cluster of cars to get in, get out, and get that pit stop done as well. I just don't see that this time. You're going to lose so much track position, and if there were more overtaking opportunities, I would say, yeah, sure, have a crack. Get that fresh rubber on and see what you can do. What's Tally going to do this time, Bite? Will maintain track position, and I get the feeling that just about the bulk of the top 10, McKnight, ladies and gentlemen, still has a pit stop to go. Stephen Banks still has a compulsory pit stop to go. So these drivers need to take a service. If they come in, grab a fresh set of rubber, grab the fuel that they were missing out of their tank to get home. Actually, no, you know what? They don't need to add fuel to get home. They will come in, the car will go up, the car will come down. No, so he's not aware. Greg Sharp's not aware. Both, I can tell you right now, both of those guys are not aware they've got another pit stop to go.
Yep, there'll be Jamie McKnight as well that'll go through. So which were the cars that needed one more stop?
Banks, Sharp, McKnight.
Yeah.
So effectively,
and all 3 of them are in the top 10 too.
Effectively, grab your Sharpie and put a line through 6th, 7th and 9th. And for everyone that is behind them, the benefit is there's only 1 car in the middle of all of them. Damien Cairns will grab 2 spots at the end of the race for serving the compulsory pit stops correctly. Everyone else behind him will grab 3 spots. So Matt Vanderkrant is effectively P7.
Yeah, interesting to see what happens with that one. Trust your confidence that they have not done their compulsory stop. That's big for them. I gather they'll be reading the rulebook very thoroughly at the end of this one once we see what it actually comes out with. But field slowly starting to get compressed. No one's taken that extra stop. No one's thought about getting a fresh set of boots on for the final run at the end. Everyone's going to run home on their current set of tyres, which at the moment it looks like Stewie Hall's probably got the oldest set of tyres up in P14 at the moment. This has worked out beautifully for Michael Talliancic. He's only got 3 laps on those tyres compared to Ken Latta and Darren Lobb. Ken Latta's got 8 laps. Darren Lobb's got about 6. So he's definitely have a big tyre advantage when they go back to green flag.
Yeah, so he will control the field. And we have now gathered all back up. You can see everyone's just sort of checking up as the field starts to condense. It's really, really important in these situations that you keep your eyes as far down the track as you possibly can. Difference between sim racing and real life racing is the instant that safety car called, the pace would reduce. Sim racing, you don't need to do that because obviously there's no necessarily major safety risks. No one's going to get injured by firing into the back of a car and sitting somewhere blind. So sim racing, they continue on near racing speed, whereas you would not do that in real life.
So bit of an advantage there. You can just run the pace all the way, but interesting to see. Looks like the safety car will be staying out, so we'll have an extra lap on the safety car, which means when we get back to green, we'll probably have about 6 laps to go for the end. So it's going to be a really, really short sprint race, especially with the whole field compact and a mix of tyre sets at the time. This is going to be very interesting. A lot of the guys that pit later would be feeling pretty confident about where they're sitting in the field, but yeah, again, it's a tricky track to pass. There's only really half a dozen, or if then, positions to really make a pass. So it's going to be trying to take advantage of that as soon as you can. And you only got a few laps to get it done. So there's a potential to gain a fair few spots out of it, but yeah, it's trying to maximise it as soon as you can once the lights go green.
By the way, cars allowed to unlap themselves right now. That's what you're seeing going on screen. As that will be the Todd Duggan car. No, sorry, my apologies. Paul Byrne unlapping himself, which will actually bring Paul Byrne back onto the tail end of the lead lap. So points potentially on the board for Paul Byrne to score now.
Yeah.
Do you come in at the end of this lap if you're Paul Byrne and grab a fresh set of tyres? Why not?
No, you wouldn't have time. You'd go back under. You go back under down a lap.
Stephen Banks, by the way, was that car on the front of your shot faking towards the pit lane. He's going to regret not going down pit lane at the conclusion of this one.
Be interested to see what does happen on that one with those CPSs, because like I said, we've read that rule a few times already. We're pretty confident that that's how that reads. That yeah, they'll
Well, so effectively they came down at the end of lap number 2 to come into the pit lane, which is what they're thinking. So yes, under green flag conditions, that is when the compulsory pit stop window would have opened, but the conditions weren't green flag. There's an extra clause that's added to that rule that says if there's a safety car out, the pit lane compulsory pit stop window will not open until the conclusion effectively of the first lap under green flag conditions. So, or was it at the conclusion of that lap and therefore the second lap, which will also potentially, there's more than one question mark that's over a number of drivers here tonight, and I can't actually remember who it was that was pit on that first time by. I think it might have been,
I've got a feeling it was Jamie. I've got a feeling it was Jamie that when we went back to green flag, he dived into pit lane.
But he dived into pit lane as we went to the green, so he was definitely, it wasn't as if it was 5 and then went in. You know, I'm pretty sure he dived in immediately.
Yeah, which like I said, reading that rule book, I still say I think Jamie's fine. If that's what he did, if we got the green, if the safety car was in pit lane, we got the green flag and then he started to pit lane, then yeah, I think he's okay. Lap 3. Okay,
so it was definitely a yellow flags. We just got confirmation. Jamie McKnight has not completed 2 compulsory pit stops within the allowed window. So therefore, he is definitely going to the rear. Stephen Banks, I'm pretty sure, pit under the first safety car because he was at the tail end of the field. It was definitely not the second safety car. It was definitely the first one for Stephen Banks. I remember that one quite clearly. Greg Sharp, I have an inkling was the same. But yeah, we've just received confirmation. So based upon our numbers, again, these are not official, but based upon our numbers, we've just gone back through them and got confirmation that 3 cars have not completed their compulsory pit stops, which are Steve Banks, Greg Sharp, and Jamie McKnight. They have all completed 2 pit stops, but not 2 compulsory pit stops, is the difference.
Yep. So, interesting to see how that one goes. rules pretty in that situation. The rule book is pretty black and white. You can't really argue it. So yeah, it's whether or not it's just different interpretations of that rule, or whether they just didn't know. We don't know at this point if it's just
Sometimes you get in that mode, don't you, Mez? You get in that mode where you're like, oh, I've raced in this league. And for Jamie McKnight, he has raced in this league for a very, very long time, as has Stephen Kennedy, as has Greg Sharp. And you just don't check the rule book.
No.
You just go, oh, I've been a little bit busy at work. I'm just going to show up on Thursday night and I'll go race in the V8 Vets. And unfortunately for them, it is quite critical, the changes that have happened between the two seasons. So the other one I do want to keep half an eye on, and I've just thought about it, is actually Paul Byrne. I have him with his last pit stop on lap 23. And he was the cause of the first safety car. So for my liking, there's a potential that Paul Byrne hasn't completed his, which he's at the tail end of the field, so he's not as big of an issue. Anyway, we have got the safety car proceeding back to the pit lane and has now made it there. So Michael Taliancic has got control of this field for round 1 of season 17 of the V8 Veterans. Proudly brought to you by Logitech G, Player 1 Sim Gear, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, and Nova Sim Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, we are underway when we pass the checkered flag. Sorry, the start-finish line this time by. There will be 5 laps left in round number 1 of season 17 of the V8 Veterans. Taliancic leads us back to green. Brake lockup begins. Smoke clouds start to build down at Murray's Corner. With 5 on the clock now, who is going to be able to get the elbows out? Darren Lobb has had pace. Ken Latta has had pace. Christian Smart has had pace. Dave Kirby was the guy that was saving just a little bit. And keep your eyes further back in that pack as well, because what is the question mark? What is the penalty that's going to hang over a number of drivers? And I think the 1, 2, 3 now, like Bruce Tennick is going to try and get the elbows out and try and pick off another couple spots. No, he's actually defending from Stephen Kennedy. So his eyes will now start to get set on the cars up ahead of him, and it will be, sorry, he has managed to get by. My apologies. Damien Cross, Tim Nicol will be the next victim for Bruce Tannock and the Magan Turbo garage entry. And up into the cutting on lap number 37.
Yeah, a lot of jostling for positions back there, but we go up front real quick and have a look and see Darren Lobb right onto the back of Ken Latta. That gap is starting to push out a little bit too.
There is cars around up and underneath the tree, and have a look at the front bonnet, and that is Jeff Thomas. And ignore the graphic at the bottom of the screen, and Scotty Van Loon, the rattler, from the rear end of the field. Unfortunately for both of them, they will go tumbling through the order. And night at the office wasn't great for Jeff Thomas, but now it's just become significantly worse.
Now the positions are up for grabs. Greg Sharp under attack from Cairns at the moment. He's going to go right around the outside. He's going to try and defend, try to hold it there, but I don't think he will. He's got the nose in front. This just becomes a bit of a foregone conclusion at that point. He'd go hard on the brakes into the chase. Looks as though he's got that a little bit wide. Greg Sharp tried to switch back on him. It was a decent effort to try and get back across, but Damien Cairns is going to hold that position. Move up 1 spot. They'll move into P7. Now we go back up the front as well. And Taliancic was starting to skip away from that pack across the top of the mountain, but they managed to catch him back up. Christian Smart, 2:03.04. That is a crazy lap time this late in the race.
Christian Smart, go on by 5,000ths of a second, because that'll get you into the 202s. That is all that's good between that man and the first 202 of the night. And now this battle pack at the front just becomes a tad more spicy. Turn the heat up, turn the wick up. There's 4 to go, and it's round 1 of the V8 Veterans for season number 17. Bragging rights not on the line until the end of the championship, but could you set the timing charts alight on race number 1 of this season and maybe get off on the right foot?
Being Bathurst as well, how good a way you started the mecca of for supercars. Get a win here, gives you a big confidence boost in the championship. Christian sideways over across the hill. But yeah, look at the lap times there. A 3.5 for Taliancic, 3.2 for Latta, 3.1 for Lobb. And then yeah, you can see Christian Smart with a 3.004. That is a bonkers lap times. Those lap times are just crazy in general. We can see Lob sideways as well. That's going to allow Christian Smart to get up on the rear bumper. Little bit of a defensive block as well. These guys are pushing hard. Almost grabs the wall on the exit of the corner. Christian Smart's going to have the draft as they run down. This is a battle for P3, so this battle, he'll go for it. Christian Smart's not going to just sit there and wait for another opportunity. He goes and has a bit of a look. The draft hasn't quite got him there. Is he going to try and flick for the inside? No, not going to happen, but he's going deep on the brakes. Bit of Morse code on the rear bumper. So the pressure is big on Lob.
And both of them made out of red and made mistakes on that lap. Lob let the tyres are coming off of the dipper. Keep your eyes further back here. Stephen Banks, this is a great drive from him. He's going to be disappointed when he comes to the wrath of the stewards post-race for not serving that second compulsory stop. But in the meantime, I do want to point out that has been a phenomenal drive from Stephen Banks. Yeah, he got there from strategy. Yeah, he's out of position. Yeah, he won't finish there. But at the same time, he's held on a position. One driver who won't hold on a position is Matt Vanderkraan out in the weeds. Scott McCune is going to go side by side. McCune now has the nose ahead. Moves back to the right-hand side as Jamie McKnight looking to offer Matt Vanderkraan a little bit of draft. And now into the top 10. He cracks it for the 77. And he will get there. And Chris Blanchard has just received a drive-through penalty as well.
Big late race penalties, 3 to go in this one. And now McHugh's going to be all over the back. Well, J.M. McKnight just hasn't got these tyres to fire up at the moment. You can see he's the big cork in the bowl right now. You can see he's hustling this thing, trying to get it going, but for whatever reason, those tyres are just not switching on. McHugh all over the back of him at the moment, going across the top of the mountain.
Let's get back up and have another look at our battle for the lead, because it'll be this time by. You've got to set yourself up. If you're thinking about any aspirations of winning the race, I think you're going to pass Ken Latta on this lap. As for Ken Latta, if he's got aspirations of winning this race, he wants to be a tad closer. And indeed, right on command, as they get down to the elbow, brushes the inside barrier. They're using all the track. It's race 1 of the season, and they're going all out. No holds barred in the final couple of laps from race number 1. It's been 220 or so kilometres. It's been 230 kilometres. And now Ken Latta's going to get right to the rear bumper of Taliancic. He's there. And have a look at the different braking styles as they come through the kick. Now he'll back off a little bit. Darren Lobb is starting to sneak up as well. And Christian Smart hasn't disappeared off that rear bumper. A sniff to the inside. Here comes Ken Latta. And there's going to be another 9 races after this one for these guys to decide it. You better believe they're on it from race number 1. There's that. Jamie McKnight it is.
Oh, that re-entrance caused them all to check. I wonder what's happened there. There's a lot of damage to a lot of cars there. Jamie McKnight just going straight to pit lane. That car is bent big time. He's struggling to hold on to it. You see the 666 of Chris Miller as well, with a lot of damage on that car as well. So wonder what has happened there. David Travis Hunt with some more damage as well. So something has happened there. We'll have to see if we can get a replay on it.
Don't tell me. No, don't tell me that there's damage to Scott McCune's car, because I swear to God, if there is heart and mouth sort of stuff. No, he's clean. He's completely clean. Oh thank God.
We'll go look at the replay now, and we'll let Scott do his thing. And yeah, we'll try to have a look at what's going on. So we're on board, McCune down the inside. Oh! Side to side. Need to get a better look at that one. And unfortunately, yeah, that's tripped a lot of guys up. That's caused more chaos further on. McCune was really alongside. He's got an amazing run. He's going to be right alongside as they head down the hill.
It was, and that's close. There's nothing in that. That angle's not going to tell the story. I don't think we're going to be able to tell the story up here in the commentary box. We're going to have to wait for race control to break that one down. Jamie McKnight will not make the conclusion of this race, ladies and gentlemen. Has pitted and done for the day.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
In the meantime, back up front, we've got to keep half an eye on this one. Second last time down and through the chase. No one's been able to poke their nose out. No one's been able to get the job done. And check it out. This is Greg Sharp now, limping down the hill. Has he got enough fuel on board?
I think that's damage. Look at the way that car's crabbing. I think he hit, oh, yeah, it's right hand down. He has hit the wall hard across the top of the mountain somewhere. Yeah, he's got a mechanical black flag as well. And yeah, that's a big shame for Greg Sharp. He was doing so well in this one, but they've started the final lap. They're going to run up the hill for the final time. Taliancic has the lead of this one, but Ladder's still there, and Ladder still has a lot of pace to give at the moment. Lob and Christian Smart also sitting there waiting to pounce on these two. It's going to be interesting as they run up to turn 2. Hook it in for the first time. You see Ladder just close right up on the rear bumper. Now this is going to where he's going to have to work hard to try and stay as close as he can. Try and stay on that rear bumper of Taliancic, because the run down into the chase is where he's going to try have to get that move done. We saw the last previous lap, the draft on that Mustang was incredible. He could pull up so much quicker down towards the chase. That's going to be his ticket. If he can get close enough and stay right on his bumper, it's definitely going to be a move on for the chase.
Well, he is getting closer. He's gained a little bit of ground right there. He's closer than he has been. He's getting the car tipped in nice and early. But then in the second phase of the corner for Taliancic, that's where he's gaining. The first phase of braking for Ken Ladder hasn't been the strongest, but it's the secondary phase. Once they start to trail brake it in, that's where he's getting a ton of time. Both of them flying it down through the dipper. Tally's got a few extra car lengths. He might be just far enough out, but look at Ladder down at the elbow. He's right there. They both wiggle. They both as they get back on the power. There will be one more opportunity to get this done. He is right there, you know, Ken Ladder. Defends it to the left-hand side of the road. The side drive kicks in. He's got the nose ahead. Ken Ladder will only have to lead one lap of the race. Could it be the last lap? The run to the chase. He's going to cover the inside. Taliancic has done everything he possibly can. One time he didn't get the run off the elbow. And Ken Ladder has led one lap today. He's got to cover it to the inside. He's done just about all he needs to. He comes Lob in the background. Lob dominating for second place. They'll make contact. Tally's around. Lob will come out the other side with it. It's a drag race of a line. Christian Smart gets the pair of them.
That is mental. Christian Smart picking that one up right at the end. Ken Ladder played that beautifully. That was all set up. Both of them slid out of the Forest Elbow, which set that whole thing up. Because the cars are still battling for positions, getting to the line at the moment. Scott McCune cracks the top 10, P9, up 15 spots. And oh, we can see Michael Stewart around again. Bit of damage to the rear of the car. Chad Lewis as well. That car's got damage. Got flare. Not sure what's going on there with the flash of the lights. Would say something else happened, but man, oh man, Kenneth Ladder. Hats off. That was awesome. Set the move up, got it done. But Christian Smart, that was just mental. He watched the two cars in front of him. Darren Lobb had to have a go. The move was on. He had to have a go, but the side-by-side contact coming out of the final quarter, Christian picked it up and gets the second step on the podium.
And that is Chad Lewis expressing his distaste for what happened between himself and Michael Stewart on that last lap. Did you see that? He followed him in, flashed the lights. I didn't let him know he wasn't happy. We're going to watch this one back once more, because all of a sudden I've got a gasp of oxygen and we can talk about it. Tally had control. He got one bad exit off the elbow, but it was the critical one. And Darren Lobb got down there, just banged off the curb. He straightened him out.
That touch of that inside curb, that's what sort of brought Darren unsettled. Love that look again, but watch it. It's so easy to do. It's so easy to do in this corner. You grab the inside curb, it pushes him into him, and then Chris just watched it all happen and just stuck the nose at that. There is not much in that at all.
That's intelligent. That is absolutely intelligent from Chris Smart.
Yeah, that was just that was crazy. But Kenneth Ladder hadn't led a lap all day. Kid's gonna win this thing.
You gotta lead one lap. You gotta lead one lap to lead a race. Guess what? You'll get a bonus point for leading a lap, and it was only the last lap.
Fantastic job by Ken Ladder, and yeah. Whoa, what a way to start off the first round of the championship. But we'll let you go through the results.
Oh my word. With question marks all over this top three. The only one with not a question mark over them will be Christian Smart. Ken Ladder, Christian Smart home in 1 and 2. Darren Lobb a provisional 3, and we'll leave the provisional all over that one. Michael Taliancic, worst he'll probably finish is in P4. Dave Kirby had a consistent night, missed the consistency back on in the 307 for 5th. Damien Cairns, Paul Warwick, Bruce Tannock, Scott McCune, Damien Cross are your top 10, and Scott McCune with me on broadcast brings it home inside the 10. Curse is broken, ladies and gentlemen. We got there. It took us 2.5 seasons. We got there. That's the important thing. Then we'll move it back to Robert Crisdale 11, Tim Nichols, Stephen Kennedy, Troy Stone Street, Darren Crosby, Chris Barrage, Michael Quain, Dean Flavel, Matt Vanderkran, Chad Vigor. So remember, those 3 cars that had to pit, they were inside the top 10. None of them finished inside the top 20. So either they got the stop out of the way or something else happened. Over the page, the 21st for you, Mez.
Yep, and 21st, Brenton O'Brien will come home. And then 22nd, Peter Vanderkran. 23rd, Darren Kusi in the Old Mate and Sons. Jason Fewens in 24th. Stephen Grumley 25th, Robbie Griffins in 26th, Michael Stewart definitely deserved better, definitely had the pace tonight in 27th, Chris Miller 28th, Chad Lewis in 29th, Scotty Van Loon in P30, and we'll flick across the page in a second. Simon Hedershide home in 31st, Travis Hunt in 32nd, Chris Blanchard in 33rd, Stewie Hall in 4th, Paul Byrne in 35th place, Steve Banks done a fantastic job all night. Obviously, the pit stop question mark was still there, but unfortunately, late race contact put him down the field. Greg Sharp will come home in 37th lap down. J.O. McKnight, 2 laps from the end, obviously caught up in that little incident in the chase. Jeff Thomas home in 39th. Craig Friend, 11 laps down in 40th place, and that would be the start of our DNFers. Todd Duggan in 41st, and I believe Jim was a driver that entered the server incorrectly, so correct, 42nd, no laps scored.
Yeah, so for Jim Caperonis, that is the wrong split entered for Jim. Managed to get out before we went racing and got into his correct split. I actually just went back and had a look at McKnight versus McCune, and there's nothing much in there. That's just a racing deal that unfortunately is unfolded into drama. You got to have a go late on. And actually, I did manage to get a chat to Shane Evans actually recently about some of the cars that Jamie McKnight owns, and I've seen some videos of some things in an RX-7 that I never thought I'd get the benefit of seeing, and apparently that car belonged to Jamie McKnight. So, Jamie, I know you're sitting out there and you won't have enjoyed things there tonight, but we enjoy seeing you out of the commentary box. We hope that we'll see you in the future. In the meantime, we'll sit down and we'll debate what happens in the post-race room. The one driver who won't have to worry about that is Ken Latta, who brings home the race win. And Ken, it was 1 lap you had to lead, and it was that ultimate lap. You put it all on the line. Both of you got sideways coming off of the elbow, but ultimately slightly better drive than Taliancic and a little bit of toe. That'll set that one up nicely.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just figured if I could stick on his bum coming out of that corner, I had a good chance, and I got off there slightly better than he did, and it just opened up the door for me, which is great. And I think he had a little bit of damage on the side, which also helped with the top end speed at the bottom. So.
Mate, that last 5 or so laps with the top 4, nothing could separate you. Lob was quick in and around there at different phases throughout that period. Every single car in that top 4, all of you made mistakes, but that is just good hard racing at the tail end of this thing.
Certainly was. I mean, when that safety car came, I thought, oh no, I honestly didn't want it. I was quite happy to take second because I didn't think I'd catch Taliancic anyway. And but yeah, obviously it ended up being some good fortune for SSR, that's for sure.
Already had a little bit of a chat to the teammate Christian Smart, mate, and obviously he's cheering with what happened to the last corner. That's good hard racing at the mountain. When you go that hard for a win after 250 kilometers, mate, how's the sweat? How's the fatigue?
I was pretty relaxed, really. I just, because obviously we did 54 laps a few days ago at East Coast, and and I did a couple of races through the week. So I think coming into this, I think race-wise, I felt fairly good. I felt maybe Lob might have been a little bit quicker, or Telly might have been a bit quicker, but at the end of the day, it's here or there, isn't it? Really, splitting hairs. So.
And then finally, mate, your opportunity floor is all yours to thank the sponsors to make it possible.
Oh, well, to you guys for putting on the broadcast. It's always a pleasure to watch. And Race Control, and all the guys at SSR, and obviously thank the sponsors: Wave Runner Performance, Smith & Son, DR Epoxy, GGG Customs, Australian Laminating Company, DMson Photography, JK Signs, Aftershock PC, and West End Mazda, and Too Easy Finance. And also congrats to Smarty and Lob on their podium. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Latta takes the win here tonight, but Simon Mazzomo, I believe, is going to have Christian Smart on standby.
Yeah, good job, Christian. Obviously took advantage of what happened at the end there, but fantastic drive. You were up front pretty much all night. That restart, you did a fantastic job to stay with the pack in front, and yeah, just talk us through that last half of the lap. It definitely got very interesting from where we were sitting.
I know, it certainly was, wasn't it? I was like G'ing up Kenny there, going, "Come on, mate, you can do it." And then I saw him down Conrod, and yeah, and I'm like, "Yep, beauty." And in my mind, I was like, "Oh, I reckon Michael and Darren might have a little bit of a go here," and they did, and I just picked up the pieces, and yeah, worked out in my favour there.
No, fantastic. That's all it is sometimes, is just letting the chips fall as they may. But how would you feel that your race went tonight? As I said, you were sort of up there, you were battling with the front guys pretty much all night, but how did the night go from your perspective?
Yeah, well, I put in a few practice laps this week, and I don't normally do that. I figured everyone's going to be practicing at Bathurst. It's everyone's favourite track, well, mostly everyone's, and so I put in a few laps, and yeah, and sort of helped me this week, that's for sure. Normally I've been qualifying sort of mid-pack, so it got me up just a few more spots with those that night's of practice, so that was good.
No, that's all good. And obviously around here, qualifying makes a big difference. Obviously passing's not that easy here. So yeah, starting up the front, obviously, yeah, big help for the start of this one.
Oh, definitely. And even early in the race there, yeah, having a good run there with Dave Kirby, and yeah, he had a good race, and yeah, congrats to him on having a good clean battle. And my goal this year is to try and keep as clean as I can. Got penalised too much last season, so yeah, that didn't help me.
That's all good. Initial thoughts on the new strategy, having to do 2 compulsory stops? How'd that go for you?
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it because it sort of breaks it up a bit. You know, I saw it was like, gee, a bit early to pit on the first one, and wasn't sure if you're up the back, you definitely would have, and that just, opened a big can of worms. Come out the second safety car with whole heap of cars in front, going, oh gosh, what do we do here? But no, it worked out well. I was happy how it panned out.
Awesome stuff, and yeah, good job tonight. And any sponsors you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, there's quite a few more come on board, but we won't go through those just yet. I've got to get a list. Normally it takes 5 minutes to rattle off all the ones we've got. We've got the Wave Runner Performance Centre, Smith & Sons, DR Epoxy, DGD Custom, Australian Laminating Company, DMson Photography, Dave Oliver Photo, It's a Dog's Life, Quality Dog Kennels, JK Signs, Newlon, 88 Media, Aftershock PC, West End Mazda, Too Easy Finance, and yeah, and all you guys that put on the show. Got to thank you guys, all the admin that put this whole show together. It's yeah, brilliant to have this many people in the league and sign up that you've virtually got to go, sorry, no more guys, we've got enough splits, there's not enough admin to control it all, if you have any more splits. But no, it's really good that you guys do this, it's great.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Matt, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Excellent. Thanks, Simon.
And finally, one more to go from tonight's podium celebrations. It's the stunner from South Africa. It is Mr. Tee It Up and Lob It Down the Line, Darren Lobb. How was that one? That wasn't a NASCAR race, mate. The last time we were chatting was about a bit of NASCAR. That was the good old bump and run at the last corner. It was all tangling. It was all on. And I don't think there was any holds barred. Everyone was in it for the win there in that last lap.
Yeah, that was bloody good fun. We had to make it exciting and get a bit of door banging going tonight, I think. At one stage heading to the start finish line, though, I was so sideways and saw the car next to me so sideways, I thought, both of us are going to end up in the wall before the start finish line. But yeah, man, it's good racing. It's all on the last lap. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Mate, you were the only guy who didn't swap positions on that last lap. You started the last lap third. Everyone else around you swapped positions. Had to go at the last corner. That was brave. That's V8 supercar racing in a nutshell.
Yeah, I don't know why. Ken was always really early on the brakes into the last corner, and Mike just, I don't know, left the door open and braked really early. It's the last corner, right? You can try to squeeze someone up onto the curb and try pinch their line a little bit, but then you got to expect some door-to-door contact if it's the last lap. So I kind of think if you had just left more than half a car's length, you probably would have got the run around me on the outside. But yeah, if you don't give up the corner, I suppose that's what happens. Anyway, I'll take the podium though. It beats going from first to last on the last one. First to fourth on the last lap if I have to be the guy that says it.
Taliancic is not going to be your biggest fan, I don't think, in the midweek. But changes to things this season. A lot of big changes in terms of the way the strategy was approached. What was the approach there tonight? Obviously, everyone at the front sort of ran long. Nobody was looking to dive to the pit lane until you had a decent safety car. What was it? Sort of lap 7. That sort of left enough of a hole in the tank to get in and get that first compulsory stop out of the way.
Yeah, I must be honest. I've only got my rig up just before practice started tonight. I haven't been on the sim since the last round of last season at Oschersleben. So I spent the first few minutes of practice actually reading the rule book just to see what the gig was with the compulsory pit stop. So I got to be honest, I was just gonna fill it up at the first stop and then just run to the end and try to keep my nose out of trouble. I don't think I even cracked into the top 20 in practice, but I managed to do a pretty good lap on my own in quali, and go almost 3 turns quicker than my Opti had been the whole session. And I think from then it starts to come back quite quickly, and you sit in the draft around here is pretty forgiving, so you can make mistakes, and you sit in a draft train and save a bit of fuel. Christian was quite interesting with his strategy in the first pit stop, where I don't know if he had just saved enough fuel or short stopped and he jumped Ken and myself, and it was really fun coming back through the pack in between those 2 pit stops. I was really surprised. I think it was Stephen Banks, I believe it was. I was really surprised how long it actually took us to catch him and pass him. It must have been a great strategy to take track position off that first pit stop. But yeah, for me, relatively boring. Just try and survive and yeah, take a top 3.
Mate, in terms of things, we keep our eyes forward to the next couple of rounds. Do you see the changes to the rule set altering the outcomes? I mean, we've seen it over the last sort of couple of seasons. It's sort of being get to your critical lap numbers, getting everyone sort of on the same strategy. I get the feeling that's going to change, particularly next week at Sandown. I have a feeling the field's sort of going to diverge massively in terms of strategy.
Yeah, I haven't done too much thinking how it's going to impact fuel, but the nice thing with a supercar is you get such a gain from pitting a lap earlier than someone that, every pit stop that you get just gives you a little bit more strategy, even if it's just on tyres alone, irrespective of what happens with fuel. Tonight I suppose all the safety cars kind of squash strategy a little bit and kind of put us all on the same footing. But if we go a bit cleaner at Sandown, it's definitely going to be up in the air as to who gets it right, who times the safety cars right, who times the undercut or the overcut right. Sandown always tells me it's going to be an undercut, not an overcut. So it's timing it to not come out in traffic, and yeah, 2 pit stops is great. Makes the race interesting for us. Twice the mistakes entering pit lane, twice the opportunity to go for fastest lap. It's good fun for a race driver.
And finally, your opportunity to thank all the sponsors that make it possible for you and DPR.
Yeah, just a big thanks to you guys again, putting time aside in your week to broadcast iRacing, and yeah, just our team DPR, and then my local sponsor Barry Manon from Manon Racing Products here in New Zealand. Big thanks to all of them, and all the fun and games that we get to talk while we pretend race cars.
Mate, thank you very much for your time here tonight, Darren, and we'll see you again next week from Sandown.
Cheers, guys.
Righto, ladies and gentlemen, after we've conquered the mountain, that is going to wrap it up here from the V8 veterans. But what I'm hearing in the background is whispers. It must be that time of year. It is the SimSpeed extra long weekend of Bathurst, because we've got Scops coming your way, Scops support categories in terms of broadcasts over the next couple of days. If you're back here on Thursday night next week, the Penrite banner, the run down to the flag, Dandenong Road, the bumps, the curbing, you've got to jump it all, you've got to nail it, you've got to get it all done. It'll be Sandown for 200 kilometers next time out. 2 compulsory pit stops. How will that shake up the equation? And that is going to wrap us up here from the V8 Veterans race number 1 of season 17. Mez, that was different. That was definitely a lot different in terms of strategy. A few different guys went each way. I'm looking forward to what comes next week.
Absolutely. I think that was definitely the proof that we needed, that the 2-stop strategy is definitely going to work out. Just fantastic to see what they're going to do. Sandown's going to be another one, a very tight, compact track. Strategy is going to be key. It's going to be awesome seeing around there. Sandown is just one of those amazing tracks. These cars seem to love it. Well, any car around Sandown is just amazing. So the strategy is going to be big key. Track position is going to be big key. Qualifying, the whole thing. It's just going to be, if you want to get the job done, you've got to nail everything. So can't wait to get there next week and see what happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been SimSpeed bringing you the V8 veterans on behalf of Logitech G, Parramatta Isuzu, Player One Sim Gear, and Nova Sim Sports. We hope you've enjoyed race number 1 for season 17. We'll see you next week for race number 2. Catch you then.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.